Who brought the snacks?
Right. That's the other crappy part about playing online. You got to supply your own snacks. Nobody gets to bring them for you.
I'm
You
going to be
know.
having quesadillas delivered in like an hour and a half, so I'm good.
Nice.
Yeah, I got some coffee and some banana chips.
I have some Guinness and some Coke Zero, too.
That's a weird combination, but okay.
Well, it's more so that I'm not just exclusively drinking beer, right? Because I as the GM, I can't get just plastered, right? I mean, I could, but it would only be fun for me and not everybody else.
I just ate my dinner very quickly because Thursdays I end class at 5:30. Also, you all may hear a bird and a cat in the background sometimes. I usually get the mute pretty quickly.
It's a fucking pterodactyl.
We're all used to the bird by now, but yes.
That's fine. I got a cat that she'll sit on my keyboard and they kind of meow right in my face, so that's I get it.
Yeah, my cat does that too now.
Have you tried putting a box on the floor or desk?
My cat does not do box.
Well, based on the pictures that we've seen of that cat, it probably doesn't fit in too many boxes.
Yep.
All right, so welcome everybody to Fates Entwined, as we are calling this particular campaign. Our adventure begins in the famous city of Rivengard, which for hundreds of years the city was conquered and then reconquered by the surrounding kingdoms. That is until 40 years ago, when a young and charismatic leader by the name of Ozil Morin started a rebellion and freed the city from all of the outside influence. It was a relatively bloodless rebellion, as Ozil had the near full support of the people of Rivengard. And as a shrewd negotiator, Ozil struck trade deals with each of the kingdoms so that the loss of control of the city seemed a little bit more bearable to the former occupying powers. The city and its surrounding areas officially became the city-state of Rivengard. And because of his popularity, Ozil was made the head of this new city-state. And as a religious figure and cleric of Bahamut, was given the title of Hierarch. And under his leadership, the city has flourished, at least in most parts of the city. So it is currently the middle of summer in Rivengard, and it hasn't rained in over a month. Much of the greenery around the city has begun to wilt, and the heat is sweltering and oppressive. The normally crowded streets have thinned out considerably as people try to avoid the heat by staying in. Now, you all have your specific reasons for coming to Rivengard, or maybe you're from here. I'm not exactly sure what everybody's backstory is off the top of my head. But you're all in the city heading to the same place. So currently you find yourselves in the poorest district in the city, which is called the Warrens. You have all been recruited, or at least found flyers of interest to you, requesting that you join the Adventurers Guild known as Fortuna's Favor. This was once one of the most famous and prestigious guilds, with former members being sung about in epic tales by the best bards all over the continent. Sadly, those days have long since passed. So the massive and ornate guild that was once home to Fortuna's Favor was sold many years ago, and the guild has moved to various locations throughout the city since. So here you all are in the Warrens, passing by dilapidated houses and rundown shops, and beggars on nearly every single street. You turn down Longborough Street and make your way to Hemswick Hall, which is the current home of Fortuna's Favor. And above the door, you see a faded painting of a wheel, which is the symbol of the guild. The wheel symbolizing fortune itself always turning. Great tragedy and great prosperity are only one turn away. And as you enter the hall, you do find instant relief from the oppressive heat outside. Now, you wouldn't exactly call Hemswood Hall a guild hall or a hall of any kind for that matter. It looks much more like a tavern, and honestly, probably not the nicest tavern that you've ever seen either. So at this point, it's early afternoon, but the hall itself is actually lit by torches and candles. As you notice, there are no windows in this place. It certainly helps with the heat, not having the sun bearing in, but it also adds to the somewhat dark and slightly depressing appearance of the place itself. So looking around, you spot 3 people sitting at various tables throughout the hall, in quotation marks. At the table nearest to you, you see a gnome with dark skin, white hair that is receded completely on the top, with a well-kept mustache and goatee. He is adjusting a monocle over his eye, appears to be writing a letter of some kind, as a rather large cat lounges on the table next to him. He appears to take no particular note of you and continues writing. At a table further back, you see 2 humans. A rather rough-looking woman with a scarred face, tan skin, her hair is shaved on the sides. There's a large warhammer leaning on the table next to her. The flickering lights of the torches make her look a little bit more menacing and imposing than she might otherwise look. And sitting at the table with her, arms crossed, mouth open as he snores, you see a young man with black hair and fair skin, very nice clothing that you can see, and has what appears to be a brand new sword slung across his back. So the woman sitting at the table notices you all, looks over at the man sitting next to her and kind of rolls her eyes and then slams the table really hard with her fist. The young man startles awake, nearly jumping out of his chair, sort of straightens his clothes a bit, gives you all a big toothy grin, and says, "Welcome, welcome, fellow adventurers. It is my greatest pleasure to welcome you to Hemswood Hall, a place celebrated and revered throughout the city. My name is Michael Quintinius Corvus, but for the sake of ease of conversation, you may call me Quinn. I am the guild's newest and soon-to-be greatest leader." And at this point, he performs an overly elaborate bow. And he says, "I'm very happy to see that so many of you have come to join our illustrious guild, so let's make our introductions, shall we?" And he looks over at the woman sitting at the table and says, "You go first, Ada." And he sort of turns expectantly to the woman. She snorts a little bit, just spits on the floor, and then crosses her arms. Quinn looks a little disgusted and says, "Well, that was unpleasant. I do apologize for the lack of manners for my dear friend Ada here. She's wasn't always this grumpy." And kind of gives her a stare. Her name is Ada Sidious. She's very capable of in a fight and very awful at a dinner party. Over there behind you, or by you, I suppose, is Ariston Nixif. We call him Nix, and he is the guild administrator. As it turns out, he's also the only person who decided to stick around after I took over. But everyone else decided to, retire. But anyway, Nix, say hello to our new recruits. And the gnome, not really looking up from his writing, sort of cocks an eye towards all of you and says, yes, hello. I'm quite busy at the moment. Great to see you all. Please don't touch my cat." To which Gwen replies, yes, good old Nix. Quite the character there. So why don't we all go around the room here and you can introduce yourselves and we can all get to know each other a little bit better. Maybe tell us a tidbit about yourself. What's your favorite color? Or I don't know, maybe what's your greatest fear? I'm going to move us all to our map of the tavern here. And you all can introduce yourselves to each other. And hopefully everybody can
Matt,
see it.
just so you know, the stats are not on these tokens.
Yes, they're not supposed to be.
Okay.
The reason being that I wanted to crop out the outside of this place, but then I also had to give you all by doing so, I had to do dynamic lighting, and then had to give you all
Gotcha.
all the sight. So I was just like, yeah. You will not be fighting in here.
Okay, gotcha.
Spoiler alert.
You
Damn.
say that like you're so sure.
No shitting.
So you can see this is Nyx, and then we've got Ada down here, and then we have Quinn down here. So sitting at the tables, and then all of your tokens are obviously at the door there.
Well, I guess I will start. You guys see a little gnome. Well, probably a bit more than average height for a gnome. He's just over 3.5 feet tall. Has a collared white shirt on, dark pants that's covered up by like a smoky gray cloak. He has like shoulder length black hair, a hat that actually hangs down further is like a floppy wizard's hat, like a very like long pointed one. Pretty well kept facial hair, goatee and sideburns, and just pretty much looks like he doesn't get outside much. Very pale skin and stuff like that. And he kind of just, as they say, introduce yourself. He just like starts in a rush. My name is Grix. Grix Mail Sparkbolt. You can call me Grix. Nice to meet you all. I'm from Rivengard. And he kind of like slinks into a corner afterwards, like quite embarrassed looking.
And what's your favorite color?
What?
Color? Didn't you ask for a color?
Gray.
Fear?
Public speaking.
Well, good on you for attempting to overcome your fears.
He gives like a little half smile and just like keeps looking down and looking at the rest of you guys.
Well, it doesn't seem that good in fight.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
well, thank you, Grix. That was great. Who wants to go next?
Guess I'll go next since I spoke up. My name is Pebble, and you see a shorter than average gnome. She's about 3 feet tall, tanned skin, brown hair, dark brown eyes. She's wearing an outfit that's mostly in natural tones. You can tell that it's either some of it's homemade, some of it is traded, but it's all kind of worn down as her travel has been long. She's got a little bit of freckles above her nose and on her cheeks, and then she kind of takes a couple steps back, goes towards the door, opens it, and allows a Shetland pony into the tavern, and says, "And this is Carrot." And Carrot is a tan/brown pony. He's got some flowers tangled in his hair, and he doesn't say anything. He's just there. Oh, my favorite color, I guess, is red. Fear. No fears at the moment.
Okay. Maybe keep the livestock outside.
Carrot is not livestock, and she lets him further in.
And at this point, the cat, who you haven't learned yet, but the cat Buttons starts hissing at the at the pony.
Pony neighs back, and then like starts nibbling at I guess Caden's fingers lightly.
Oh, this may have been a mistake. All right, who's next?
Well, if you don't mind, I guess now we got the oddball-looking fella. He points at Grix and the little lady out of the way. What you see here, going out of character for a second, Daniel Warren is 6'2", 185 pounds. He's got a long, very patchwork trench coat on, brown in color. He's got shaggy brown hair, bright green eyes. It looks like chainmail as an actual inlining to the coat itself. He has very simple clothing underneath, just a blue shirt with some some white sleeves right on the end, before you can tell poking out the coat. Some regular brown breeches, a belt with a silver buckle, and what you can tell pretty much immediately is he's got a gun pretty much right at the front of his belt, a crossbow on his back, a short sword right next to his boot, a dagger on the other side of his belt, and oddly, perhaps a blow dart kind of crossways with the crossbow as well. He smells of looks like oils and very heavy tobacco. Even now, he's got an unlit cigarette right in his mouth. There's name's Dan Warren. Don't call me Danny, or I'm going to shoot you in your lily white. Favorite color is, I don't know, fucking hell, dark green. Can't say I got any fears at the moment. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah. Good stuff. Sort of looks expectantly at whoever might be next.
I'll step forward a little bit and introduce myself. Hello, all. I'm Caden Carter. I come from Belgrose, and I'm hoping to, improve the lives of the people in this area. My favorite color would probably be dark green as well, and I'll look at Daniel Warren. And I guess my greatest fear would be to unintentionally bring harm to those around me. You know what they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Daniel kind of looks back, it's like incredulously, like, huh.
I'll return your little grunt with just a smile and a nod.
All right. 2 to go.
I look at the other guy left as if indicating, not I.
Very well. My name's Verlon. I'm from Ericania in the south. I hunt monsters for a living. If I had to choose a favourite colour, grey. Sure, why not? As for fears, you can't really afford to be scared on the hunt.
All right. Yeah. Kind of just looks at the other person who we don't know her name yet.
Alright, so you see what looks to be human. She's quite tanned, very tanned, and she's got black hair. And rather than wearing really dark, like black and greys that one might expect from a rogue, I suppose, she's wearing more kind of earthy colors. And her outfit is actually, it looks like there's a little bit of wealth behind it, judging by some of the trimmings and accessories. And she looks a little bit uncomfortable having all this attention directed on her. And she says, well, I'm Dawn, I suppose. I don't have a favorite color as I'm not 12. And I believe telling absolute strangers your biggest fear is foolish.
You can see that Quinn looks a little crestfallen here as he was all excited about this, and he just, fair enough. So, if you'd all like to have a seat, we can discuss things.
Don't mind if I do.
I think probably, yeah, these benches over here would be, if everyone wants to sit sort of like in the general area.
You mind if I smoke in here?
There's a horse in here. I don't really think it matters anymore.
Fair enough. He's gonna pull out like a little, almost like a weird little, I would say a very prototype like lighter, very bulky. So it fits like the hole of his hand. It just takes a long drag and
Ada also kind of walks over and stands by Quinn.
The pony is right there.
I will continue to just like try to pat it and play with it as it stands in front of me.
The pony is very nice.
So, I suppose that first things first, just to kind of get a couple of housekeeping things out of the way, just so that we know what types of jobs that we could, possibly inquire at. I mean, currently Ada's the only one that's doing any jobs, and she just likes to hit things. Just maybe just say a yay or a nay for the following list of scenarios. So first and foremost, I am willing to kill people for money or fame. Is that a yes or a no or?
Do you mean
depends.
like assassination?
I mean, could be. It could just be maybe killing people in whatever mishap may happen.
I don't really want to kill a random person on a street.
Yeah,
I
Bossman,
mean,
I don't mean to sound ornery or anything about that, but that is one hell of a question. If it's for a job, that's one thing. But if we're going to go around being a bunch of fucking psychopaths, well,
but
I think you might have got
that's the kind of job, right? So just willing to kill people for money / fame. So these are just, again, it's just not, I'm not asking you to do this right now. I'm just, trying to gauge what types of jobs we could go after, because obviously there are jobs for such things.
In the corner, the Grix just puts his hand up like he's in the classroom.
You want to kill a random person?
Are they bad people?
Probably. I mean,
if they're bad and they try to hurt us, I would rather hurt them first.
Nah, that I can agree with.
Same.
I
Depends on the job.
okay. Okay. How about stealing from people and/or stealing actual people for fame or money?
Yeah, it's a yay for me, Bossman.
when you
His
say
hand goes up again.
stealing actual people, like human trafficking,
And he just points at the guy talking.
I mean, again, maybe. I mean, I don't actually have any of these jobs right now. Just trying to gauge what we should just say not interested in, right? Like,
Are we
any-
a bad guild?
Anything with slavery is a no for me.
I mean, it always depends on the job, but if you're looking to steal people from very bad people, that's a good thing for me.
well, right, like stealing people could mean rescuing people, right?
I don't think those words mean the same thing.
Stealing from bad. You're stealing a person from another bad person, right? That's rescuing.
I mean, I call
I
that
don't
just
think that
changing
means the same
kidnappers.
Okay. All right.
Depends on the job.
Okay, well, I suppose those things actually cover some broader subjects. So again, welcome aboard, friends. Just another.
What about just punching people?
Sure. I don't think that many people are going to pay us to do that, but
Getting stronger?
Well, if you think about it, there's always underground fighting rings. There's always somebody who has to fight on their behalf, yeah?
I would do so good.
there are rumors of such things. But again, as a guild function, people don't normally hire guilds to fight in underground arenas. I mean, you guys could certainly do that on your own, I suppose, but that's not really why you're here. Also, just as a housekeeping thing that Nix would be annoyed with me if I didn't mention, there is a, just to keep the guild afloat for expenses and things of that nature, the guild does take 10% of the agreed upon price for completing jobs. However, anything that you would negotiate on top of the agreed upon sum is, of course, yours to keep. So as a general example, if a job were to pay 100 gold pieces, 10 gold of that would come to the guild. But if you were to, say, negotiate with the the person offering the job, say you got them to offer you 150, you would still only owe the guild 10, so the extra 50 would just go to you. So
That makes sense. I know my numbers.
So, it's you know, as you can see, we don't exactly have a ton of people knocking down our door, offering jobs or anything like that. So, some of the things that we would be doing might be a little bit not super lucrative, I suppose, and we might end up dealing with people that could possibly be considered less than savory, maybe. But hopefully we can turn things around, and soon enough we'll be doing jobs for kings and queens and things like that. So if you happen to come across anybody in your travels that you think might be able to assist the guild in some way, like for example, if you would look over at our bar area, we don't have a barkeeper, so that'd be nice, or maybe just somebody else that could punch people, as this little one over here said. Just keep an eye out.
Maybe you should ask what our specialities are so you can look for those jobs.
Well, I mean, okay, I suppose.
It seems like we're currently at a spot where we kind of take what we can get. If I'm not misinterpreting the situation.
Yeah, that's kind of
I
the
agree.
case. I mean, we don't really have a lot of choice right now, given the fact that prior to you all showing up, we only had Ada here doing jobs, so we kind of had to do whatever we were offered, or because you see, like, there are like job boards that are posted, but when people are accepting jobs from guilds, they don't often other people are willing. They may be willing to take the other guilds over us. Is just kind of what I'm saying at this point. But it's just temporary because I'm going to turn this place around, because that's my specialty. I have a flair for the dramatic, and I am good at marketing. So we will totally be rich. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I'd ask under normal circumstances if we got to go through some big old rite of passage, but I'm gathering not. So what the?
Not really. Maybe you guys could devise a bit of that once we become more established. You can determine what you guys think might be appropriate for that kind of thing. But right now, just like the jobs that we're taking, I'm also kind of just taking whoever will agree to to help. Yeah.
So some of us, well, I guess I'm not too sure on the others, but I am fairly new to Rivengard. Do you guys provide lodging, or will I need to sort that out myself?
Uh, for the time being, you'll probably need to sort that out for yourselves. Eventually, if we can ever move out of this place, Fortuna's Favor at one point did have an actual guild hall that had barracks and the like. But as you can see, this is basically a one-room um, place. That, I mean, you're free to stay here if you'd like, but there aren't any. I mean, we could get some cots if you want to sleep here. That's cool. And if you don't want to pay anything, that I don't. That's all right. But
I can
yeah.
sleep outside.
Maybe keep your horse outside too. That would be all right.
Carrot is really good behaved. She'll be good.
Right.
You say that now, but horses ain't exactly the cleanest thing in the world. Or, well, whatever ponies are.
I would agree with that. While she is very lovely, I don't think having a horse around the table is great for cleanliness.
We all have our own opinions.
For the moment, it might be all right, but if we can hire someone to tend bar, maybe we can actually open this place up as a bar, and maybe we can make some money that way.
If I'm looking at this cat, does it look like it's a normal cat?
Yes, it does appear to be just a rather normal,
Well,
lazy cat.
once Grix figures that out, he kind of gets bored again and starts paying attention.
As an honest question, though, I have to ask. I apologize. Is that an actual picture of somebody's cat, or did you find that like on stuff?
No, this is actually it's not an actual picture. It is actually a painting of a cat.
Fair enough. I just saw that and went, what the hell?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, like from that small little token, but
From distance, yeah.
yeah, I try whenever possible to not use actual pictures. I like to find art, but yeah, that's Buttons the cat.
As he gets bored and like starts paying attention again, he like absentmindedly flicks his fingers and says a little incantation, and a owl pops up on his shoulder.
Okay, well, apparently we're running a zoo here.
I guess priority one should be a stable, boss man?
Do the rest of you have horses? Do you keep them in a stable like regular people?
No, I got kicked in the head. That's enough of that for me.
Yes, I have a horse.
Horses are very large. I have a donkey.
Why don't you get a horse like Carrot?
Donkeys are cheaper.
Gemma said that these horses are much better than any donkey.
I don't know who that is. Okay.
You got any active jobs for us now, boss man, or you got
I do have a potential job for. I'm not exactly sure what she wants. She just requested that we meet her. And I can give you the location of that if you are prepared to do so. We do have a bit of time to kill before we would need to meet her, so I don't know if you guys wanted to talk some more, or maybe go outside with your animals and look around the city, or I don't know what you guys would prefer.
Well, I've never been to a city big like this. It might be nice to walk around, maybe.
I can show people around. I was born here.
I could also use a tour of the city if
you're in
staying
luck.
here for extended period.
Yeah, some of us are born and raised here, and some of us just live here. I think we all could probably give you a good tour.
Yeah, and maybe those of you that are from here, I actually am not from here myself, but maybe reiterate to folks that horses and are generally not. They're usually kept in stables and not paraded around the city streets, with the exception of possibly for delivery purposes, the merchants carrying in their wares and stuff like that. Just weird, especially to have a pony in a bar, is what I'm saying.
They're kept in another place.
Wow.
Grix will look at Pebble and say, I can show you where I keep mine if you want him to have a friend.
Okay.
Well,
as long as Carrot doesn't get lonely.
We could look around the city a while, but here's the thing, boss man. We need to know where we're meeting this lady.
Yeah. And he pulls out a piece of paper. He kind of looks. I'm not entirely familiar with these directions, and he kind of looks at Grix, and it's got like a cafe listed.
Would it be one that I would know?
It would be it's in the entertainment district, and you would likely know where it is.
Okay.
You know, you don't seem like a good boss if you don't know where it is.
And you don't seem like a good guest when you bring in horses to a bar. But, we get what we get, right?
I think Dana's gonna
Technically, I'm
actually.
not a guest. I'm part of the guild.
Dana's gonna spit out a cigarette into the cup, laughing. Just
I'm chuckling as well at their exchange.
And I do apologize. Maybe rude of me to ask, but how old are you? Pointing at
I'm
you, Pebble.
17.
When she says that, Grix's eyes kind of like go extremely wide and says, "Hey, you're too young for this."
No. Technically, I'm the oldest adult in my, or oldest child in my tribe that has yet to be an adult, so I need to be an adult fast.
Oh dear.
you're gonna, yeah, the poor guild master, quote unquote, is gonna get very like kind of a look of sympathy from Daniel.
Well, so anyway, this is where you're supposed to meet. Probably, I think it's not exactly sure what time it is right now. Probably a couple hours from now. Mid-afternoon is when she said she wanted to meet.
As far as, sorry, it's more of an out of character question. How far would be theoretically like 15-minute walk from using directions from here to the contact? Or
I mean, from where you guys are, I mean, it's probably closer to 30, 35 minutes. I mean, again, Rivengard is an absolutely enormous city, so.
Grix will look around and say, "Well, if you guys have anywhere in particular you want to see or anything like that, I can show you. I'll make sure we get there on time."
I want to put Carrot in the place where you said your goat? Goat
Donkey.
was? Donkey.
We could do that. It's not very far.
Just as in a brief aside here, so the city is separated into multiple districts. So the main districts, so there's the academic district, there's the harbor district because Rivengard is actually a coastal city. There's the market district, the entertainment district, the temple district, government district, manufacturing, warehouse district, residential district, and where you guys are, the Warrens, which originally was called the Low District, is now just called the Warrens. It's kind of the slum, the slummy area of the city. So the entertainment district is where you're supposed to meet your contact, which you could make your way through the market district to get there if you chose to.
Is there any sort of like a holy district?
The temple district is, yes.
There is.
So from a distance, the largest building that you could see would be the Dragon Cathedral, which is the largest building in the city dedicated to Bahamut, which is a relatively new building, comparatively speaking, to this very, very old city. It was built after the rebellion.
I guess we can stop by the stables first.
And basically, every district, including the Warrens, would have its own stables that you could keep your horses, or donkeys, or ponies.
Would I be from like the guild district, like the crafting district, or would their home be somewhere else?
Well, every district, in addition to having stables, every district, even though there is a residential district, which is exclusively for residences, obviously, the residential district does tend to have more estates, so it's where some of the richer people live. But every district has like apartments and houses and things like that, so you could technically live in any of them.
Okay.
The temple district would have the fewest places of residence. The people that do live there are generally people who work at one of the churches or temples.
Okay. Then yeah, I guess our first step, if we want to put the pony away, would be to the stables. Would we be passing anything on the way that I would point out to everyone? Like, would we be going through the temple district or anything like that?
I mean, you could basically, if you want to take the time to do so. I mean, you could go through any other district that you chose to. The path from where you are would you would walk through the market district to get to the entertainment district.
Okay. And yeah, Grix will just kind of stand up awkwardly and like not really looking at anyone, looking at the floor and say, "So, where would you like to go first?"
I already said.
Yes, but you're not the only person.
I would agree with her, though. We should probably drop Carrot off at the stables, so we're not leading a horse through the entire city.
Okay. Oh, we'll pass through a few districts on the way, but okay. And he
Nothing
just
wrong with that.
turns around and walks out before anyone says anything else.
All right, well, we got short stack running out. We best go after him. Follow after.
I
Yep,
will
Pebble goes
follow.
after with Carrot.
So I will lead them to the like crafting district stables where I'll have my donkey there, and I don't know exactly how long it'll take, but I'll like unless someone stops him, he just walks.
Hey, we got plenty of time. Slow your ass down.
He kind of like turns around, looks up at you, and says, we don't want to be late, and there's a lot to show in the city."
Yeah, I live in the city, but you can slow down. Otherwise, you're gonna. Well, I'll put it this way: we got some folks here whose legs are only as long as yours.
Uh, of course.
Carrot.
I give Grix a smile. We have plenty of time. We'll be in the city later, and we need some time to digest everything.
Well, then, yep. If we pass anything on the way and you have questions, feel free to ask.
So, Grix, if you're actually from the city, where do you work out of?
My family, we're from the trade district. My father is one of the tinkerers in the guild, and my mother runs a bit of a tailoring shop out of our home.
No shit. I went to Tinkering Guild myself. He's got something like the badge like on his coat.
He kind of looks at it and kind of like puts a hand where his would go. He goes, I was better with schooling than actually building.
Yeah, I work for a cranky old ass dwarf out of the district, and well, ended up in the guild. Although apparently their freaking buildings are short as hell, but I guess that's what I get for working with a dwarf.
I don't know if you would know him, but my father is Justo Sparkbolt.
You probably would have heard of him. You may
Yeah.
not know him personally.
Yeah, name's on the tongue, but don't got a face of that though. You know Greymane Winslam?
Matt, I don't know if I would. I've never spent much time in the guild. I kind of like dropped early for school.
I mean, again, it may be something you may have heard the name in passing, but it wouldn't be something that you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I know that guy."
He'll just the name is familiar. I haven't spent much time there.
Are the others kind of catching up now?
Yeah,
Yep,
Valon's following.
I'll say Pebble is like right behind you guys.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull out like he has a backpack on that's like very, very old and worn looking and covered in like blots of ink and stuff. He's gonna pull out a little piece of paper, rip it off, and jot down a note real quick. And I'm gonna just send a note ahead of us to the stable because that's where I've always kept my my donkey, and just give a heads up that we're coming with another animal, and just hand it to my owl and let him fly off.
Yep.
So how
Oh.
did you make that owl appear out of nowhere?
And it's one of the first spells I learned. It's very helpful. It's magic.
I know magic too! And she will cast Minor Illusion to just make a box appear in her hand.
Not knowing any better, Dan's gonna kind of reach out and kind of poke at the box like out of curiosity.
It's not actually there.
His hand goes right through like, ah!
Grix kind of looks at you and just looks you up and down and goes, "Are you a wizard?"
No. I know how to make things appear, and sometimes I glow, and sometimes things just happen.
Where did you learn it from?
Nowhere.
And his eyes brighten to all hell, and he has a big grin on his face. And he just takes out another, like he doesn't take out another piece of paper, but he like reaches for one and just I have some questions later if you don't mind.
I guess. And Pebble's just kind of staring at him like, what?
He just smiles, has a huge smile on his face, now walking.
Did Verlin and Dawn follow us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to be meeting you folks. Look forward to working together. If we don't accidentally blow each other to hell, because let's face it, shit happens.
As you're walking next to him, Grix is going to point at your gun and say, "Well, it's very obvious what you do. And I am magic, and so is she." And he points at Pebble. And what does everyone else prefer to do?
Well, I specifically go around hunting monsters and removing curses.
Really? You go around moving curses. What about that eye on your forehead? He's gonna get this big shit-eating grin.
Just gonna stare at you. Just no response.
Oof, tough crowd.
Grix, I didn't understand what he said.
What? Sorry?
She said Grix, I didn't understand what she said. Or he said.
Who? Him? And he points up at Verlin.
No, Daniel. And she points at Dan.
You know, you could just ask. I'm right here.
Or you
But
could be speaking in gnome to each other, right? Or
Oh.
possibly.
And I'm gonna look to Dawn and just say, everyone else seems to have rather large weapon. How do you handle yourself in a fight?
I don't overcompensate. Like some people, I would just prefer to use small, unassuming weapons. And as for the type of jobs I would do, I just need money.
don't we all?
I shrug.
Well, as long as you go stabbing us in our sleep, what's wrong with that?
No promises.
All right, so what's our first stop? The stable's there, then
If we go to the stables, as it's not very far to the temple district. I know he points over to Cade and said he wanted to stop there. Although I don't know if there's a specific temple for his god, but then we could go wherever else.
I'd appreciate that very much.
And there is, by the way, there is a temple of Kalambor. Shanti, Kalambor, Lathander, Mistra, Ogma, Saloon, Sylvanas, Timora are and obviously Bahamut, are the gods that have their own temples. And then there is a place called the Temple of the Divine, which is essentially a singular temple that is kind of a catch-all for everybody else.
Yeah, I'll look and I'll just say I let them know that we'll be coming with another animal, so it should be rather quick to just drop off when we get there.
I suppose I'm gonna getting out of my element here. I don't go to the this particular district, but I guess what do you guys feelings on the gods? I don't want to step on any toes, but I can.
What was that? You sort of cut out at the end, I think.
Oh, sorry. Basically, Daniel's kind of going along the lines of asking, what are you guys' feelings on the gods? He doesn't want to step on any toes if you can help it.
I don't care.
I just smile and I point to a symbol on my chest that represents Kellenvor, like an emblem.
I know enough to help me lift certain curses related to gods. That's about it.
I also don't care.
Fair enough.
I find them very, very interesting. I've studied a bit about them, but it seems that they all have their place.
Well, good to know. Don't piss off the little guy. He kind of gives a playful smile. It's like, well, I guess I don't quite get it. Look at these huge fucking temples. How much gold do they take just to build those? But then the gods can get off their divine asses and just do it themselves.
The image I posted in Discord is the symbol of Kellenbor, by the way.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. He has one of the best icons, I think.
What, the divine scales?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's the scales with the undead hand, or the skeleton hand, I should say.
Which is probably somewhat intimidating for people who don't know what it's about. But as far as the market district, when you're there to drop off carrot, you do have basically any number of. I mean, I know most of you already spent most of your gold setting up your characters, but basically just about any shop that you could be interested in would be available to you in the market district.
Then, as we're going, I'll just look at anyone and say, did anyone have any supplies they needed to pick up? This would be the place.
Nah, I think I over-prepared. He kind of gestures at the blowgun, the crossbow, the gun itself, the short swords, and the daggers. I think I might have overdone just that.
I got my stuff too.
That the market district is, and those of you that are from here or live here currently, it is probably the busiest district at the moment. But again, because of the heat, and at this point, you all are probably sweating. And anybody that's wearing any sort of armor that's remotely heavy would be miserable at this point. There are fewer people than would be normal for this time of day out in the market district, but it's still quite busy. You get the sort of combination of smells, spices and cinnamon. There's food vendors. So it's just sort of this odd smell that in this heat is becoming even more intense. And when it's all mixing together and you're sweating and you're kind of miserable, it's not really overall a very pleasant smell. It's kind of making you feel a little bit queasy. Yeah, so as you get to the stables, you start to get the smell of the animals, and you just kind of it's not a great time to walk around the city right now.
As we go through the market, can we stop somewhere and grab ice cream or some form of sweet?
There probably isn't much ice cream, but you would certainly be able to pick up cool
Pastries
drinks
or something.
And yeah, there any kind of sweets and pastries and stuff would be available. And there would be on days like today, you would see people that are, and probably the people with the longest lines are those that are selling drinks that are chilled.
I would like to grab some and offer to get some for anyone interested.
Please.
Ah, I'm good, but thank you. Last time I had sweets, that damn dwarf had 10.
But he's not here right now.
Fair point, but I ain't about to risk it. Trust me, the Great Man can be a pain in the ass when he wants to.
A cold drink, perhaps. No one can fault you for that on a day such as
Yeah, fair enough. He'll toss a coin for somebody to get like a chilled drink, but fair enough.
I'm fine. Thank you.
Yeah, as I say, Verlon's probably the most comfortable, given where he's from. It's generally pretty awful where he comes from anyway. It's usually very humid and rainy and stuff, so he's sort of used to oppressive weather and heat and things like that. So he's probably the least bothered of most of you.
Grix kind of just taps on his pocket, and you hear like a little metal clinking sound. He says, I'm set with my drink.
I'll just nod to those that offered to buy their own, and I think Pebbles is the only one that took me up on the offer. So
Yep.
I'll get some stuff for myself and Pebbles, and
Yep. She takes it, says thanks, drinks it all basically in one gulp, and then gives like the end of it to Carrot.
And I'm not gonna do too much in regards to like the making you guys keep track of like the price of these things. I mean, basically, if something costs less than a gold, for the most part, I don't really care because it's just a pain in the butt to track copper and
split
silver.
things. Yeah.
And same thing with so to for stabling your animals, like it costs like 5 copper for enough food to last an animal for 10 days. So it's like I don't care. It's just not worth it to do that kind of minuscule math.
Aw,
So yeah,
I do that.
I mean, for me, if it's less than a gold piece, it's not really. I mean, if you guys want to, you're perfectly welcome, but I'm not going to make you track that kind of stuff because it's just it can become tedious.
Whenever anything costs like something in silver, I always just kind of put a gold down anyway. Like, I always round it because I hate doing it.
Yeah, it's I don't like to track it, but I mean, if you like to, I mean, feel free.
To each his own, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just not going to like so as a side note, like the only thing that I generally so same thing kind of goes for material or spell components. I'm not going to make you buy spell components unless the spell specifically states that something costs money. So for example, like you have to have diamonds equivalent to this amount of gold. In that case, you do have to buy it. If it's just like, oh, it's bat guano and it's this, I don't care.
That's what the component pouch is for, right?
Yeah. So I'm not gonna make you do that. And then same thing. I'm generally not gonna track like your food and water because that in some campaigns that's useful, but we're not doing that type of survival campaign, so I don't really care that much. I do, however, want you to track. So,
like
for
ammo
Daniel,
and such.
Yeah, ammo. I wanted to track ammo. So like for Daniel, for your bullets and stuff, track that. If you have a crossbow or whatever,
Yep.
track your bolts. But that's about it. And I think barbarians generally have javelins. I don't know if Pebble has javelins, but
I think Pebble just has. She's just got daggers.
okay. So yeah, you might want to double check because I think you should probably have javelins. But I don't know based on your barbarian class, your subclass. I don't know, but regardless, that kind of stuff I would track. But food and water, I'm not going to make you guys buy that stuff and keep track of it because generally we'll assume that you guys are getting enough of it. If you go decide that you're going to travel to like Havarakan rather, maybe we'll make you guys spend some money because it would take a while to get there. But for traveling around the city, you guys can stop and get food as necessary, so I won't make you wreck any of that stuff. So
Okay.
And as we're still walking, I'm gonna approach Dawn and pull out my flask and just say, "Are you thirsty?"
I'm going to suspiciously look at the flask and then look at him. And just...
looks
I'll
exact
pass.
like a very normal.
I'll pass. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, now, Grix, who knew you were so smooth with the ladies, huh?
And he turns beet red and starts walking fast again.
It was worth doing that. All right. Anywhere else we got to go for heading to the con?
I guess Temple District next.
Hmm.
All right. So, as you make your way into the Temple District, it is the architecture is a little bit different here. A lot of the buildings are actually made of marble. So, where in most places throughout the city, because again, this is Rivengard is actually the oldest city on Agamar. So it's been around for probably over 1,000 years at this point. So you think about that history and you think about how things are built over time, and just one thing on top of another. So you have all kinds of a manner of strange architecture, and things change over time, and they just build on top of other things. And the Temple District is a bit more uniform than the other districts. You can see that it has purposely been kept to the architecture to be similar in scope. It's a lot of white marble. Again, the Dragon Cathedral, which is the centerpiece of the Temple District and possibly the centerpiece of the entire city itself, is relatively new, and it looks relatively new by comparison to the things surrounding it. One of the things that is also quite interesting about the Dragon Cathedral and some of the other buildings throughout the city, Rivengard is also one of the most technologically advanced cities, and so these very tall buildings actually do have elevators in them, done with the help with the Tinkering Guild and all of their clockwork devices and such. The Temple District is also home to quite a few, I guess you could call them parks. They're not exactly parks, but sort of green areas that you can kind of sit and relax and sort of meditate. And there are fountains and stuff. So it's a very peaceful place. You don't even when it's not blazing hot outside like it is today. You don't often see too many people milling about. I mean, generally people um, go there for a specific reason, whether it be to pray or to worship or what have you, at a specific temple. Generally, the people that you see milling about are people of the cloth, so to speak. So the priests and the priestesses and things of that nature. Um, and the people that are coming and going are the regular folk. But Rivengard is, though it has a very very large temple district, and even though the leader is a cleric, it's probably not the most religious place on the continent. So
Huh.
As we go through the temple district and they point out the church for Kalimvor, I would just like to take a few moments and go in and introduce myself to uh, whichever priest or person was left in charge of it for the day.
okay, I mean, and they would recognize your symbol and welcome you, and then of course, obviously, welcome anybody who came along with you. But welcoming you as a brother, and asking if there's anything that they can do to assist you.
No, not at the moment. I just wanted to make your acquaintance, become familiar with your location.
And the Temple of Kalimvor is it's not the largest of the temples dedicated to a singular god, but it's also not the smallest. So it's kind of the medium tier. Um, it is somewhat adjacent to the Dragon Cathedral, um, which in the grand scheme of things is actually not a very good thing because it is overshadowed by Bahamut, and through some of the maybe the discussions that you have with the people in the Temple of Kelemvor, that's kind of a complaint that most of the other temples would have, is that since Ozil has risen to power, most of the other faiths have been sort of pushed to the side, and Bahamut has been, because before Ozil took over, the Temple of Bahamut was basically the same as all the rest of these temples, and it wasn't until afterwards that he built this massive cathedral. So everybody still has a little bit of annoyance at the fact that Bahamut has sort of become the patron of Rivengard.
Okay, but he's not like actively doing anything to try to push the other ones out, right?
No, he it's just he's pushing Bahamut to the front, but he's not purposely pushing anybody else to the side. It just is a byproduct of that fact, I guess.
He's not pushing anybody over. He's just kind of expanding.
Yeah, the church, it might not even be him necessarily, but the church is taking the opportunity to like pull in more followers and whatnot. Right?
Exactly. So, and part of the thing too is and to kind of give a little bit of I think I may have mentioned this in the lore on Discord, but Ozil, being the hierarch, is somewhat like a prime minister or president. There is actual there are, similar to the United States, there are 3 governing branches. So you have the executive, essentially, which is the hierarch himself. Then you have the parliament, who is the ones that are implementing a lot of the laws and those types of things. And then there is also a court system, but in a somewhat conflict of interest, the hierarch is also the head of the judiciary side, because Bahamut himself is the god of justice. And so it was sort of like, it was actually, and just so that I won't make it sound like Ozil is trying to grab power, because he's not actually. That was a role that he didn't ask to be a hierarch. It was something that was given to him, and then also he was given control of the head of the court system as well, because of his station within the Temple of Bahamut. In theory, were a new leader to take over who was not a cleric of Bahamut, that person would not be in charge of both the sort of executive and the court system, but just kind of how it played out in this particular instance. But for the most part, the reason that like people don't feel too worried about it, because Ozil has not shown any sort of predilection to be any sort of tyrant or anything like that. So,
Matt, just as a quick heads up, I gotta run down to the door real quick to grab my food.
sure.
I'll be right back.
Run like the wind, Wiz. As they pass by, Danny's gonna look up at the Temple of Bahamut. I always feel cheated when I see this kind of place. Bahamut's this great big dragon, yeah? Why don't they have a dragon as a priest? I was coming expecting to see one, and it never happens. Damn it.
Yeah, and while we're waiting on Mike here too, like I want to jump back to the world map here real quick.
Okay.
This is just again, FYI, your characters may or may not know this. I don't know. But if you look at the very top of the map there, the continent, the Dureshi, that is where 99% of the Dragonborn who exist in this world live. So it would be very, 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 very rare to see a Dragonborn anywhere else but there. So I just thought of that when you were mentioning Dragon Priest. So just as a real quick heads up there.
Oh, hey, good time in there.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I am in fact not a dragon either.
Ah, hell, I can forgive that. As long as he ain't one of them, he kind of looks at the symbol for a second. Well, as long as he's one of them big goals, big ass skeletons, then that's.
I am most assuredly not a big ass skeleton, as you.
No, you're just a regular sized skeleton wrapped in meat.
Regular. Gotta look up for a second. Like, oh yeah, sorry. How much time do we have, like in game to we would meet the contact?
I mean, at this point, you probably still have an hour or so before you would need to get there.
How far would it theoretically be from the Temple District to?
To the entertainment district, you're probably maybe half an hour or so.
I guess still got a little bit of time. Do we?
I would say too, just as a little bit more of a lore, Mistra would probably be what would be considered the most popular
Magic goddess, right?
Yeah, Mistra is the
Yep.
mother of all magic. So within Rivengard, she is probably the second most popular deity after Bahamut. There is a large, there are multiple magical colleges in Rivengard. So there is a fair number of mages that would be interested in Mistra. So just there's the Rivengard Academy of Arcane Magics, and then there is also the Morin College of the Divine. So there's both a Arcane College and a Divine College of Magic, as well as two separate Bard colleges, and there's a College of Engineering, and so there's the academic district is quite large with multiple colleges for multiple disciplines. But yeah, a very large contingent of magic users, and there is an entity that is called the Council of Eight, which sort of Council of Eight being the different magical types. So,
Like the schools of magic, almost.
schools of magic, exactly. So they sort of like are the figureheads of magic use, and they are in charge of administration and education, and also suppression of certain magic as well. So.
Do they have like sporting events? I feel like magic sporting events would be fun to watch.
Probably would be. Imagine throwing fireballs in an arena.
Yeah, I don't think that there are specifically magical sporting events, but in the entertainment district there is an arena. I wouldn't go so far as to call it like a coliseum because I don't think it's quite that large. But they do have, for lack of a better term, they have like gladiatorial fights there. And just as a, because some of you live here, so you would know that it was mentioned while you were talking to Quinn, but there are underground illegal fights as well. You're just not allowed to talk about Fight Club, right? Because that's
All right.
Are they also trying to take down the official banks in Rivengard?
Oh, like straight thieves guild? You thinking?
well. I mean, in Fight Club, I mean that's kind of what they were.
Oh,
tearing
well,
along,
that's
but
you.
yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah,
so-
I mean, like, but yeah, there are two rival thieves guilds, and then there is rumors of an assassins guild as well. But of course, you wouldn't be a very good assassins guild if everybody knew where they could find you, right? Like, it's not.
Yeah, have the black market be like the local Walmart. Everybody wants to go there.
So, I mean, from the rumors that those of you that are here have heard, you basically have like what is considered the old school thieves guild, and then there is currently sort of an upstart thieves guild that is stupidly trying to make a name for themselves, which is not a good idea if you're thieves, right? But that's kind of some of the goings on in Rivengard at the moment, and that's the thing too, that like in certain areas, I mean, obviously the Temple District is nearly crime free, but the Entertainment District, the Warehouse District, the docks obviously is a pretty good place for smuggling, and the Warrens, where your guild hall are. It's not like crime doesn't exist here. There is a police force. They're called the Watch. But as I mentioned, I believe in the lore, um, especially those that in the Watch that are patrolling the districts that I just mentioned, some of them might possibly be on the payroll of people who are asking them to look the other way. So,
Okay.
in a city this large, there's just no way that you could kind of combat all of it.
Challenge accepted.
Right.
Oh God.
But again, just as to reiterate, because I mean I don't want to give the impression that Ozzel in any way is viewed negatively or is um, kind of like a tyrant in any way. I mean, most people actually still 40 years later after the rebellion view Ozzel in a very very positive light, and he does. In fact, there is a government district where the parliament is and where the headquarters of the Watch is. But there used to be um, well, there is still um, a tower called the Sunstone Tower, where the head of the um, city of Rivengard, where it used to be the when it was controlled by Tredivoria, and when it was controlled by Ninmar, the the leaders from those places would live in the Sunstone Tower. But Ozzel doesn't live there. In fact, he turned that tower into a museum of sorts, and he lives in a very small apartment in the Temple District. So, kind of a leader of the people.
Okay. I started making notes as we go here. All right, we got half an hour to kill.
So you can make your way towards the entertainment district and kind of take a look at the things that you could see there as well.
I'll try to start pointing out like inns and stuff where people can stay since they have to find like their own room and board.
Or you can sleep on the floor, get a cot, and sleep in Hemswick Hall. You can do that.
Very true.
We'll say you guys are making your way towards the entertainment district, and the entertainment district has quite a few points of interest, I suppose. There's a music hall, and there are multiple theaters. There are brothels. There are luxury apartments and mansions in this district. There is, in addition, there are actually two very large casinos. It's home to a number of different guilds. There is an entertainment guild, so it's like made up of like actors and bards and things like that. And there's a courtesans guild. This again is where you would find the underground fight club. You would have the arena. There is a racetrack for horses, multiple hotels and inns and all that kind of stuff. But probably the biggest attractions would be like the arena, the racetrack, and the casinos. The two main casinos are the Rivengard Palace and the Red Sun Casino. The Rivengard Palace is more of a I don't want to say city owned, but it is I guess we'll call it slightly more reputable. The Red Sun Casino is owned and operated by a crime family called the Hill Strikers. So
So they're mafia of the whole thing.
basically. So that would be something that Grix could point out to everybody, because I mean these are very obvious landmarks that you would come across and might be like, okay, well yeah, there's the Red Sun Casino, that's the Hill Strikers. Maybe don't go there. I mean, and it's not like the Hill Strikers are. It's not like going to the Red Sun Casino is like dangerous or anything like that. And they don't cheat or anything like that. It's just that you know that it's a crime family that is running it, right? So
don't win too much money
yeah, that kind of thing.
or
And
get
the
caught cheating.
Yeah, and the Hill Strikers are mostly known for the casinos, and they also run quite a few of the brothels in the area as well.
Oof. Daniel's gonna kind of glance at the casino. It's like, well, that's a good place to lose your money.
The Rivengard Palace, the other one, is, I'll say it's slightly more upscale in the sense that just like when you think of your mafia stuff, where the Rivengard Palace would be a little bit classier, whereas the Red Sun Casino is what people who aren't classy think is classy, which is really just kind of like trashy instead. But again, I mean, it doesn't have a reputation necessarily of they don't cheat. They don't
Bankrupting
cheat.
everybody.
Yeah, they don't cheat people or anything like that. I mean, it's not anything where they still want this to be a successful business. It's just that
They don't want
behind the
people to
sce-
win overly either, basically.
yeah, and behind the scenes, everybody knows who's in charge, basically.
All right. Do they kind of like move their product through the casino?
Not really. Their headquarters is in the casino, but there's not a whole so their main they don't do a whole lot of like contraband and smuggling or anything like that as far as goods or drugs or anything like that. It's mostly just casinos and prostitution, basically. And they have more than enough brothels where they can handle all of that stuff outside of the casino, so they don't have all of those two things mixing with each other too often. You could probably find prostitutes, both male and female, at the casino if you knew who to talk to, but it's not blatant as it would be if you went to a brothel, obviously.
Were we given like a name or a description of this person we were supposed to meet in the next couple hours or whatever?
You were told to let me pull this up here.
I think we got directions, but that was about it. Yeah.
Pull up my 47 different things pulled up right now.
I mean, there was a quest somewhere in all this lore dump, but I'll find it.
Right, there was. I got too much stuff everywhere. That's the problem with doing homebrews, where you have to write all this stuff down yourself, and it's not just in a nice, organized book.
Yet.
Yes. Look what happened to Critical Role, right? That was homebrew. Now it's official.
Daniel's gonna lean next to Vern a little bit. It's like, we should probably keep the little one out of the casinos, and anywhere she can make a bet. He's gonna point at Pebble.
Well, if she wants to go in somewhere, she can. I'm not her
Yeah,
keeper.
but she's a mite young for that, though, isn't she?
If she's old enough to kill and drink, she's old enough to gamble.
Oh man, I'm gonna say I'm gonna be a bad day. All right.
Technically, I mean, I guess it depends on how much, what age you want to set it at, but she's not actually old enough to drink.
Hey, if you got to be 15 to drink in the UK, she's old enough.
There you go. But she is a gnome, and so that's slightly old. No, actually, that's slightly younger. Never mind.
Yeah, 17 for a gnome is like a
Yeah,
baby.
that's what we talked about. We did this in Discord on DMs. That basically, not like because their bodies progress at the same rate as humans do, but within the gnomish society, Pebble would be looked at like a 10-year-old. She'd be an elementary kid
Oof. Ouch.
because you reach adulthood at age 40 when it comes to gnomes, are viewed as an adult at age 40. So, but yeah, there is and I said that and then I closed the thing that I pulled up. There is a place called the Pale Moon Cafe in the entertainment district that you were supposed to meet this person. Quinn told you that the time and the place, and that the person would contact you, but he didn't have a description of the person. He said that her name was Moira, but he doesn't know anything else about her.
Okay, do we have some sort of symbol for the guild then to identify?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he probably would have given you all very old and worn sort of like tokens. And again, they're just like on the symbol of the on the outside of the building. It would be of a wheel. It's the Wheel of Fortune. That's literally what it is.
I'll pin it on me under the symbol for Kellenvor, of course.
I am going to try my best to clean it with magic, like prestidigitation and mending and all that stuff to try to make it look as nice as possible.
Yeah, and it cleans up kind of nice. I mean, it was a little bit tarnished, but it looks pretty good because they're probably made out of bronze. They're not super big or anything like that, but
And he pins it on where his like Tinkering Guild badge would have gone.
All right, now that we're all dolled up, as it were, I guess we should head to the cafe. Maybe ask the owner of the establishment for Moira? Yeah. See what comes of it.
ready.
And we head our way there.
Yep.
So again, I mean, at this point, it's probably getting to be the late afternoon, and it is still relentlessly hot. And making your way through the entertainment district, somewhat like you were experiencing within the market district, kind of get the little bit of the smell of cinnamon and incense, and sweat from all the other people that are milling about. Not quite as overpowering as it was in the market district, so it doesn't quite make you feel as uncomfortable. You do see, somewhat to your amusement, you can see there is a crowd of young women that are sort of following a bard around as he sings and plays the lute. Everybody go ahead. First roll of the campaign. Everybody do a perception check.
I have -1 to this. Oh shit.
I got a +5 and I still didn't do much better than you.
15.
I've just rolled that to self for a 17, so I'll roll it again.
Yeah, holy shit.
All right.
Nice, Don.
So anyone who rolled below a 10, you're somewhat oblivious to this fact. But as you get closer to the Pale Moon Cafe, Daniel and Pebble and Dawn, you all notice right away that actually opposite of the cafe, leaning up against a wall, is a very tall elven woman that is actually smoking a pipe. And you can see that she is just like stunningly beautiful. And she has these sort of long, flowing silk robes that are sleeveless. And you can see on her arms, that are exposed, She's got these very beautiful and intricate tattoos all along her arms, and she has a few sort of very simple sort of dot tattoos on her face. And you can see that she has a leather scabbard with a dagger on her hip. And her hair is almost like kind of a dark red color. You kind of get the idea that it's probably not a natural color, and that they're all her hair's very intricately braided. Has kind of tan skin, and you notice that she's watching all of you quite intently.
Pebble waves.
Sorry, Pebble Leaves? I misheard that.
Waves.
Oh, there you go. Okay,
Waves
sorry.
at her. Yeah.
Evening, darling. We're looking for Moira. Would you happen to know her?
And she smiles at all of you, and as everyone's sort of gotten the attention of this person, or everyone is paying attention now to this person. Grix, you notice that she's actually paying very close attention to you, almost like licking her lips a little bit. You can see that she's looking at you almost covetously, and she smiles at all of you, and says, "Yes, I am Moira. I assume that you're here from." She kind of like like it's almost like she's thinking for a minute. Fortuna's favor.
Yep.
That we are.
Is she familiar at all?
Nope, never seen her before.
Okay, I will immediately go and hide behind Eve's cloak, or I'm sorry, not Eve, Dawn's cloak.
Oh, don't mind him. He's just shy. We're actually here about the job. What you thinking?
Yes, well, as it turns out, as you can see that she's thinking a little bit. Someone has stolen something from me, something of sentimental value that I would like to have recovered.
Mind if I ask what exactly you got taken?
I guess you could describe it as a jewel of sorts. Again, nothing super interesting, I suppose, but just something that matters quite a bit to me. So I would be willing to offer 500 gold pieces to recover my property.
So that'd be 100 each plus whatever cut, huh? That ain't bad. All right.
There's 6 of you, so it's technically less.
Yeah,
sorry,
your math
sorry.
is a bit off there.
Sorry. Miscounted.
Maybe you could persuade her otherwise.
Oh. I'll tell you what, since you're being so vague about it, can we bump it up to just 520? Oh, sorry, yeah, 520 should do fine.
Do a persuasion check.
Best not push our luck too far, it's only session 0.
Yeah, 520 is not.
Well, if you made it like 550, you could have at least covered the 10% that the guild was stealing.
Well, regardless of the 23.
Yes. She says, well, sure, that seems reasonable, considering the situation. There's a man, well, I say a man, he's a half a man, a little rat-faced weasel halfling named Craden, who was once an acquaintance of mine, who has stolen my property and absconded with it to the warehouse district.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on a second, darling. How do you know this is the guy who stole it from?
Because I saw him leaving my establishment. He was not invited, and I was not at home at the time. The doors were locked.
And this half a man's got a key, you think?
Oh no, the lock was broken.
Dana's gonna. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Dana's gonna glance at Verl and kind of tilt his head, like hintingly, like, is this lady screwing with her?
Yeah, I'm gonna speak up here and just look at her and say, "Are you sure it's yours? It'd be a shame for us to go and steal someone else's belongings for you, and I would like to roll insight."
Okay.
So, yeah, I think he and Verl will both want to do that. I think. Not bad.
I mean, she seems to be telling the truth. You don't. I mean, if anything, you do. It does seem like she's being purposely vague about what it is that was taken, but you do genuinely believe that whatever it is that she's being vague about was hers and it was stolen by this person.
Okay, I'm cool with it then.
Daniel nodded then and said, "All right. Would you rather we brought his scrawny little ass back to you, or would you rather we just bring your little token back with us, or just by itself?"
Oh, I couldn't care less about him. Do whatever you please, but the item is all that matters to me. I just am the warehouse district is not really a place that I like to venture. So that's the reason that I'm hiring people to do this for me.
Oop, sorry, out of character as a reminder, did she say what kind of jewel it was? I'm trying to put notes together.
She did not specifically say what kind of jewel it was. No.
All right, and did Daniel ask her that? So, all right, so what kind of jewel are we thinking of here? What kind...
Well, it's a yellowish green gem that looks like an eagle's eye.
Eagle's eye, huh? Well, I'll be fair. I'm sure we can take a look. What do y'all think? He looks back at the group.
Yep, I can punch him good.
I give it.
Moira kind of looks at Pebble like, what?
You know, if we do this job right, we won't have to punch anyone.
Can't promise you won't be tied to a pole somewhere, though.
But then
Oh,
how do we get the jewel back?
Well, that first, yeah.
Well, I mean, if it comes to it, please punch this man because he is awful. So you have my blessing.
All right, you said the warehouse district. Okay.
He, I believe he may live there now. It's some squalid little hut, but my biggest fear and why I hired the guild is that he is a known thief and he does not steal for any reason other than to. He's not a collector, I should say. He does steal things to sell them. So I'm afraid he may try to fence this rather quickly.
So we gotta do it done fast.
Indeed, little one.
Either that or we go find around pawn shops, yeah?
That seems
could be-
harder.
Well, secondary avenue for sure. Yes.
So, I guess out of character in Rivengard, I'm sure there are fences, but I imagine like he can't just walk into any store and sell this off, right?
No, I mean, like you would have to know somebody to be able to. I mean, so like you have to have some underground contact. Basically, you wouldn't just be able to fence something unless you knew someone.
Yeah, squall little hut in the warehouse district. Can't be that hard to find, can it?
Either way, we should probably get a move on.
Righto, let's go bust this guy's balls, yeah? He's gonna push himself out the counter and go start kind of walking towards the door.
So,
Grix is gonna kind of, as everyone else is leaving, kind of just pop back out and look at her again, and just see her reaction to him.
Oh, like inside to her. Oh wait, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, so she as soon as you sort of step out, you can see that her eyes immediately dart towards you, and you can see that kind of that little her eyes kind of narrow a little bit, and she kind of has this little smile on her face. It's not menacing. It really is more sort of like I don't want to say flirtatious or anything like that, but it does appear that she's taking a general interest in you in a positive way, I suppose.
He kind of just looks up at her and says, what?
And she kind of she slowly starts walking towards you and kind of kneels down a little bit, and she runs one of her long fingers along your cheek, if you'll allow it, before jumping away. I don't know.
Nope. He takes like 2 steps back real quick.
Okay, so she smiles a little bit further and she goes, I bet you know all kinds of magic, don't you?
Ooh.
He turns and walks away.
And she sort of just stands up and starts smoking her pipe again, not just continuing to watch as you walk.
She might like the strong, silent types.
That would be possible, but I'm not strong. She's weird.
Well, you never know, Grix. Daniel's gonna give him this very wide, very playful expression. So you're about telling us to reach all the nice place.
Once again, bright red and walking away.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I can't help it, folks.
So, out of curiosity, who actually is the tallest person in the group?
Dan 6'2".
6 foot.
So that'd probably be Verlin, yeah.
So, I was just curious because Moira is probably close to 6'5", so she's taller than everybody and towering over Grix, obviously. So, as you start making your way towards the warehouse district, really quick, we'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break so that everybody can get a drink, go to the bathroom, grab a snack, whichever you need to do, and
Feed the cat.
Feed the cat. There you go. We'll be right back after that.
Give
Sounds
it the
good.
stretches.
Yep.
All right.
I think this cat wants me to feed her anyway, because she's actually hugging me right now, so. Be right back.
I'm back.
Still here in the first place.
All right, I'm back, sorry.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Also, Wiz, I'll let you know ahead of time. Daniel will poke fun at everybody, so I hope
Oh, absolutely. I'm all for it.
All right,
Yep.
so I was just bringing it up. Like, I'm not trying to be in it. I'm trying to be a dick.
I mean, even if you were trying to be a dick to him, that is perfectly fine with me.
Makes no
And yeah, I
difference
mean,
to me.
and so what you guys are talking about here, like Vix and everybody. I mean, like one of the things that I feel is very important for D&D. So like I feel like if your character, if you're playing your character in session 100 the exact same way that you're playing them in session 1, then it's all been a failure, right? Like, so I think that it's important to be like, okay, be true to the character. So in the beginning, if you're playing a character like Verlon and Dawn that are purposely reserved because they're for whatever reason that they may have, I mean, don't feel bad. If that's what your character would do, then that's what they would do. But hopefully, there's character progression, and that you're not going to continuously, down the road be like, oh, I still hate everybody. This is awful. I don't want to be here, right? Like, I feel like that's what's great about D&D and character development is like, they grow and they learn to trust their party members and things like that. So,
It's perfect.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I just feel bad. Like,
we've known each other for what, like 2 hours at this point. So.
I'm just happy I get to
Yeah,
play
I
a
just-
brooding hero for once.
yeah.
Once.
Yeah,
yeah, very, very brooding. Definitely
Daniel-
outdoing me
yeah.
on the brooding.
Dan's gonna be both a wise ass, a jackass, and kind of an asshole. But he's usually well intentioned.
Well, and that's
yeah,
the
I
main
just-
thing. I mean, you can be brooding and quiet and reserved, but as I mentioned with the rogue that we had in our very first campaign was literally
She was just an asshole.
yeah, like so there's a difference between just being like reserved and quiet or just literally being an evil person.
Oof. Yeah, I get the picture.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
Yeah,
Like,
I just wanted to like.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
No,
Please do
like she just killed like Mike's familiar because she was angry and it was following her, right? Like it was just this
Mhm.
really just this weird thing. Sorry, anyway.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I just wanted to like disclaimer because sitting here, as someone who normally does a lot of the RP, I just like feel really bad for like those people who are carrying it at the moment in that department because I know what it's like to like feeling
Yeah.
like some people being super quiet.
Oh hell, Matt might have me beat, but I've been role playing for 22 years. That's kind of where I'm at.
Well,
Yeah, I would say don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna have their moments, and at different times, people are gonna care.
I think it's mostly that it's weird to you because it's a completely different play style for you. So
Oh,
it's probably, I mean, no matter how much all of us say don't worry about it, do your character and like progress as you wish, you're still going to be thinking about it because of how different it is.
well, and also too, it's a new group, so we haven't played together, so it's an understandable fear to be like, you guys don't know me, so you're like, I don't want you to think this is how I normally am. Like, I don't.
I
want
mean,
you
to be
think
fair,
that
the last time we had a new person, I think it was someone from around the same time zone as Rob, and she fell asleep during the game. So
Yeah.
if that's why you were being quiet, that'd be a little worried.
No, I
Yeah.
always try and make sure that like you can see me typing and like interacting in the chat even though I'm not
Yeah.
actually talking.
That's a good way. That's a
I'm
good way to
still
do it
here.
too. Although I've had a druid fall asleep, and start snoring on Skype. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Someone cast sleep.
And that is something that I always do try to do as well. Is sort of like give everybody time in the spotlight so that you can be the focus, whether it be like a personal quest or what have you, just so that everybody does get the opportunity to sort of like be the lead, which is one of the reasons that going back to that rogue that we had before, whereas that she always wanted to be the lead no matter what at all times, and it was just like, please just let somebody else talk for a change. But
Oh gosh.
as long as you're having fun, whether you're talking a lot, that's really what's important. As long as you're not
No,
like,
yeah, I'm having
this
fun.
sucks,
Don't worry,
I can't wait to just quit, right? But
No. I love it so far. Yeah, I think I was just worried about. I don't want to seem like I'm not
It's very
Oh,
new
my
for
way.
you. Like I think everyone has that kind of thing on their first time playing like the quiet character.
If it's a brand new group, then yeah, well, maybe a little bit, but yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Mike,
I
like
didn't
in your
realize how
game,
hard it was.
Oh my god! In my
after
game, you did. I think you talked like 4 times when I ran my game
it was
in
funny
like
because
over a 2 month period.
well, because I started playing a ranger that was like not hadn't been around people. He'd been living in the woods by himself for like 200 years, and so it was like and then it got to the point that I was like, I can't do this anymore, and then I got rid of the character and I started playing a bard so I could talk again.
Yeah, that's exactly what I feel like. It's just like, wow, it's so hard to be quiet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and just for everybody's sake, I'm open to that, especially in the beginning. So like if you've created a character and you're like, you know what, this isn't working. This isn't what I thought it was going to be, or I don't feel like I can make this character do what I originally intended. Like, especially in the beginning, I'm totally open for you guys to be like, okay, I tried that. It wasn't working how I wanted to. Let me move over to this other character. That's totally fine. So don't feel like if you're not having fun, I don't want you to be stuck playing a character that you don't like. So
Oh.
just as a FYI.
Okay. Good to know.
I used to
'Cause
play these. Yeah, sorry. I I used to play these gallant, noble, almost noble-like characters, or knightly, I guess you should say. Pardon me. So doing Daniel's a bit of a change for me. So,
You
Yeah,
have
well-
very like knightly voice.
In the very first game I ever played with Rob, I played a paladin, and then the two people that joined the rest of the game, he was a rogue, I was a paladin, and our other two people were like Kenku, like a warlock. And I was like, how do I role play a paladin hanging out with a warlock? Because like everything that he is doing is against everything that I believe in. So like I can't come up with a justifiable reason to be talking to this thing. So yeah. I know how it goes.
The greater good, man. That's the reason.
But that was the thing. Like he was specifically like I don't care about anything, just pay me. And then on top of that, he was a Kenku, which I hate freaking Kenkus. So that was another problem. But that's a whole nother story.
all right, are we all set back to go?
I think we're ready. So
All right.
you guys are making your way towards the warehouse district. Everybody, go ahead and make another quick perception check. And for now, I'm making everybody roll them. In the future,
Oh,
we
shit.
may just like have one person roll with advantage, but I want everybody to get involved.
Oh, and Matt, when you do get a chance, owl sheet for me.
Oh yeah.
Is
All right.
Daniel rolling with advantage, or what's up?
Sorry, that perception. I hit the tacit perception button by accident. So that's just a basic perception I meant to hit. So his roll's a 10.
Yeah, but I guess I'm just looking at the box, and I'm wondering why you have a little green dot that says advantage.
Shouldn't be. I hit normal.
Go to if you go to the cogwheel, like to the where like it's your character, then the cogwheel. If you go all the way over to the right and down a little bit to where it says roll 2 legacy, you could roll like everyone else, and it'll always roll with advantage and disadvantage, and you kind of just that way you don't have to worry about clicking it separately.
Okay, so his roll's gonna be a 10 no matter what. Let me test this out just a hair.
And
Okay,
yeah, and
got
you
it.
could unclick advantage. Wait, why is it your perception roll with advantage? That's weird.
Well, if you go back onto character, on the top right it still says roll normal, advantage, disadvantage. Make sure it's on normal.
Yes,
Okay, make sure
I had it set to normal. I didn't have it set to it. Yeah. So either way, his score's gonna be a 10, so you can move on from that. Yeah.
All right. So man, now I'm not used to looking at this many rolls. So who rolled first?
That'd be Dawn.
Verlin.
Looks like. Oh.
Verlin, after my insight check
Oh,
was
okay. Yeah.
When
Yeah,
the
so it was like
perception.
the 9 for yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. So Dawn and Caden,
Yes.
and Grick. So actually, I think it's yeah. So Dawn and Caden and Grix. You notice two things. First and foremost, as you're walking, you notice three birds. I guess the three of you, just for fun, roll a nature check.
Oh boy.
Oh shit.
Oh,
Nice.
Grix.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. Okay, so you all notice 3 crows. I was gonna say, you see some black birds, but you all know your nature, so you all know that these are crows that seem to be following you. And the reason that you notice this is because it's not like they're like flying overhead. Is that you can see that like they're up on the buildings, sort of like hopping along, following you. Additionally, you notice that off to the side, close ahead of you, there is a very large Goliath man, sort of that's been watching you walk towards him this whole time.
I'll just kind of whisper to the party. It seems we've been noticed. Is anyone here capable of slipping away in case things go south?
Well, I mean, I can run away, but I don't find that necessary. I mean, he's a Goliath. I've met Goliath before.
No, no, no. I mean, if people were to jump out at us, having some of our own people jump out at them might be advantageous. I
I
kind
don't
of
get it.
I kind of smile at Pebbles and just pat her on the head.
I understand, and I can try and stealth into an alleyway and follow along with you guys inside.
I am paying zero attention to what these guys are saying. Are these real birds?
Yes, with your natural 20, they appear to be actual birds.
Oh, we could just always just walk by him. We're not exactly here for him, are we?
Is he like? You said he's watching us, right?
Yes.
Regardless of whether he's here for us, someone is tracking us.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, can I kind of bump into a crowd while following the group and try and stealth into an alleyway?
Yeah. Go ahead and do a stealth check real quick.
Hey.
And I'll just follow along the group direction, keeping an eye on them.
My last question, Matt. Can I insight him to see if he's like aggressive towards us or not?
I think it'd be more of a perception at this point rather than insight. 'Cause you're not really talking to him.
Okay.
I mean, he doesn't look. I mean, he's standing there and he's kind of got his arms crossed, so like leaning up against the wall. But you can't see any weapons on him at the moment. He doesn't look menacing. I mean, he looks menacing because he's a very large Goliath man, but he doesn't look like he's
not pulling out a
aggressively-
fucking axe to come chop me in half.
Yeah, he seems very relaxed at
Okay.
least.
Yeah, my suggestion didn't have to do with the Goliath. It had more to do with the crows that were tailing us.
And the crows don't seem to pay Dawn any mind as she slips away. You can still see them, and as you guys stop, they all kind of stop as well. And they're not like, I guess it's obvious to you because you've noticed them. But as you stop, they stop, which is obviously a weird thing for birds to do. However, once you stop, like they're not like staring at you, right? Like they're just looking around like a bird normally would if it was sitting on top of a building. So it's not like some weird creepy thing where the birds are just like staring directly at you as you stop.
Like
They're
an actual
trying
murder
to
of crows, yeah.
Conspicuous, right?
Yeah, I mean, like if you hadn't noticed them following you and you just stopped right now and you looked up, you would just see some birds up there. Like you wouldn't think twice because they're not like specifically looking at you necessarily.
I am going to once again snap my fingers, and I'm going to have my owl back, and I'm going to whisper in his ear, Archie, keep an eye on them, and just have him fly up there.
Yeah, can I try and climb up onto like the roof of where these birds are at? Or is that a no?
Hello?
We lost you.
Matt.
I think Discord updated again.
No. Sorry, I just had my mic muted because I'm an idiot.
Matt.
So, acrobatics check. Sorry.
Oh, so never mind. She doesn't really need any help.
Yeah, that was you climb up the side of the building with no issues at all.
Okay, can I... How far away am I from the crows?
At this point, probably maybe 15, 20 feet. It's sitting on the ledge of a building.
Can I try and crawl up to them as close as I can? How close can I get by crawling without disturbing them? Do they seem to care about me at all, actually?
Well, at this point, they probably haven't noticed you. But if you want to do another stealth check, we'll see if they do.
Oh yeah, I would think once they see his shadow, it's gonna give you away. But...
Which way is the sun going?
Oh shit!
Well, that roll means it's going the wrong way.
Yeah, right. The opposite
They
direction.
see my shadow.
They do actually have a +3 to perception anyway, and they have a 13 passive perception. So once you sort of get a little bit closer, they do take off.
Okay.
At least I'll say this: the one that was on the building that you are on, it took off. The others don't move. The other two don't move because they're on opposite sides of the street.
Oh, okay. So they're not actually grouped together.
No, they're all separated out. They're all following you, but they're not together. So there's one on. So just think of it as there's 3 crows on 3 separate buildings.
Oh, okay. I thought they were all together. Otherwise, I probably would have acted differently.
Sorry, I should have explained that better.
Oh.
We good.
It's all right.
Do I see where the other crow, the one that flew away, where it lands? Or does
It goes actually. It flies off in the opposite direction, away from the other crows, and then it sort of like swoops down in between some of the buildings, so you don't see where it goes. You can still see the other 2 though. They're basically across the street from you.
Okay. And how far is that in feet?
Probably about 30 feet away.
Can I? Oh, you know what? Nah, never mind. I'll just let him. I'll just follow the group on the rooftops.
Daniel's gonna put 2 fingers to an eyebrow and kind of like very confident, very friendly salute with 2 fingers to the Goliath. It's kind of seeing if he can pass by.
As you get closer, he sort of nods to you and then just kind of like motions for you all to like come towards him.
Pebble immediately goes.
If Pebble's going, then Daniel's gonna go like, "Oh shit!" This is kind of trot after.
I am very close behind Pebble.
I'll let some distance go between me and them, but I'll follow them.
I'll just go up. He doesn't really care.
And Pebble in Giant says, "Hello, how are you?"
And you can see as you do that, you everybody else notices a very surprised look on his face as she starts speaking a language I'm assuming nobody else knows.
Nope.
No.
Which language are we talking about?
Giant.
Giant. I do not know Giant.
And you can see at this point it's almost comical in the sense that you've got, how tall is Pebble again?
3 feet.
3 feet tall. And this man, this Goliath, is over 7.5 feet tall. sort of like just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a description of him as you see, like most Goliaths, you can see that he does have sort of a grayish skin, um, and he has some black tattoos on his face. Um, it's difficult to judge the age of him, but you can tell he's not the youngest man in the world, um, and he's quite large. And I guess the best way to describe is that he looks like at one point he was probably extremely fit, but it looks like he's got maybe a little soft around the edges at this point. And in Giant, he replies back to Pebble, says, "Greetings, little one. My name is Hugo."
Greetings, my name is Pebble.
Isn't that adorable? Well, I've never met someone your size that can speak Giant. Seems a bit odd.
I'm actually part of the Steinhad tribe to the east. A bunch of Goliaths raised me, specifically Gemma.
Oh,
Uh,
I
tw-
don't.
Sorry, 21 insight for that.
But you don't understand it.
Yeah, you don't understand what they're saying. They're speaking in Giant.
Well, like body language, I guess.
I mean, sure.
21.
I mean, it seems to be a friendly conversation. You can see that he's kind of smiling and still has that sort of surprised look on his face that he's getting to speak to Pebble. I mean, you all are probably a little bit confused because at this point some of you might have some, because this is something that we established in the previous campaign. If you It's possible for you to not understand a language, but recognize what a language is. So, for example, for all of us, I don't know if anybody speaks French, but if you don't, if you hear somebody speaking French, you know oh, look, they're speaking French. I have no idea what they're saying, but it's a language that you can recognize that's what they're speaking. So that's the thing that exists in this world as well. So, for example, you may not speak Dwarvish, but it's spoken enough in this area that you would recognize. I don't know what they're saying, but I know that that's what they're speaking. In this general case, you might not, because Giant's pretty uncommon. But just as like a primer there for everybody to know that, like, you don't necessarily have to know exactly what they're speaking, or know what they're saying, but you might know what language they're speaking.
Okay, I get you. So Daniel's gonna give like a little nod. He's gonna keep a little distance away, but let them down.
Yeah, you could play that whole. What do you think that all Goliaths know each other?
You people.
You people, come on. But yeah, you can still see that, like, he's wearing it's sort of odd what Hugo here is dressed, because he does have like a kind of like a necklace with like animal claws on it, and he's kind of got like these tough sort of fur collar, which seems sort of like, I guess, like tribal in the Goliath sense. But then, like, the rest of what he's wearing is quite elaborate and expensive sort of robes and everything. So it's this weird sort of combination, and it's not often that you would see a Goliath dressed this way either. To be fair, it's not common to see very many Goliaths in the first place, but he strikes a very strange appearance given his race and his size and his dress. But he looks to the rest of you and says to you, Pebble, in Giant, do any of your friends here also speak this language?
Pebble glances back at the others before looking back up at him and is like, I don't think so.
Well, maybe we should get them involved as well.
Oh, okay. Everyone, this is Hugo, she says in common.
Pleasure, Hugo. Dan Ward.
He kind of looks around at everybody else, like, Well, my name is Hugo Morrow. I happened to notice you all speaking with Moira, and just wanted to let you know that, well, she's a liar, a dangerous
Well,
one at that.
she was telling the truth, at least for what we were trying to ask her for. But what makes you say that?
Oh, I've had quite a few dealings with her in my time, and although kind of like you can see looking around, uh, looking up at the buildings, and says, and by the way, Dawn would probably be able to be overhearing this at this point. Hugo's a bit boisterous, and he's probably not trying to keep his voice down too much, but he does make mention of the fact that like this probably isn't the best place for us to have a conversation. I would invite you to come to my home, and we can discuss a little bit further. Anything that she may have offered you as payment for whatever scheme she has, I might make it a little bit more worth your while.
Friend, she's paying us 520 gold. I'm pretty sure you don't have 1,004.
How about 6?
Here's the thing, friend. We're working with the guild, all right? And we ain't about to go double crossing an employer.
I like
Well,
Hugo. I think we should listen to him.
Matt, real quick.
mhm.
I'm very new to divination, so those are my rolls. Oh wow,
Shit.
for my portents. And can I do an insight check on him to see if he has good intentions?
Yep.
Wait, so what was the other role? You said portents. I have no idea what
Yeah,
divination
for
wizards.
divination, here. I could roll 2d20s at the start of each day, and I can replace any roll with them. So if I got a 1
I can
and
roll
an
a
enemy is rolling a save, I can make them roll a natural 1.
Okay.
If you are rolling an attack and you roll a natural 1, I could change it to a 17 or an 18 or 19. I think
Well,
it's
you have to do
any
it
roll.
before the roll.
I think you have to know before it, you know, if it hits or whatever.
Choose to do so before the roll, yeah.
Or you can
Well,
replace a roll in this way once per turn.
I guess my question is, did you copy paste that block or did you paraphrase it?
Oh no, that's the
That's a
one.
copy. Yeah.
That came in when I chose. Yeah,
Okay, then I
that,
would think that yeah, you have to do it before the roll is made because like bardic inspiration, I believe says specifically like it can be used after the roll is made but before the result is determined.
oh yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean
True,
you must
true.
choose to do so before, so you would have to say
Okay, but yeah, so
something
like
different. But
if
yes, those are
someone,
your
yeah,
rolls.
so yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I got it. All right, but yeah,
that's
so
interesting.
17 then for insight.
And so what are you trying to determine about him?
I'm just trying to like when he's saying she's a lie, like is he just trying to lure us somewhere, or is he like actually concerned about this woman like lying to us?
Um, uh, with 17, I mean, like you're pretty sure that at the very least he believes that she's lying to you.
Okay. All right.
And I'll say too, that it doesn't seem like he doesn't appear to be like trying to trick you into like going somewhere with him.
Did he like I'm sorry, did he reveal that he knows what we were asked to do or was he just like I don't care what she asked you to do, it's probably a trap kind of thing?
He didn't specifically reveal whether he knew exactly what it was that she asked you to do. No.
Yeah, all he said was that she was a liar, but we didn't say or do or tell him what you were looking for.
Okay, then I'll kind of call him out on that and just say to him, "So, how do you know she's lying? What is it that you believe she has us doing?"
And he kind of smiles at you and goes, "Well, I just happened to overhear the conversation that you all were having, so I also happen to know who Creighton is. And though he is a despicable human being, or halfling, I guess it is, I still wouldn't trust her. The reality is that she probably has no intention of paying you.
What makes you say that, friend? Is she not? Do you think she not? I bit my tongue. I apologize. Do you think she doesn't have the money to pay us?
Oh no, she definitely has the money. I just think she has no intention to give it to you after you provide her with what she wants.
Oh, she sounds rude.
Do you know anything about what she wants?
Oh, I don't really know anything specifically about the item that she's looking for. I mainly just hate her, and I would like to keep her from getting what she wants. But
Friend, that sounds just plain like bias to me. That doesn't sound like fact.
oh, it's a win-win for everybody. I assure you. She doesn't get what she wants, which makes me happy, and you don't get double-crossed, which should make you happy. And ideally, if you recover the item for me instead of her, I'll give you 600 gold.
That's more than 520.
Friend,
It
if
is
we're about to
indeed.
go double cross an employee, you better make it 650.
You can make a persuasion check.
Watch us be like a natural one or some shit. 21.
21. All right, let me. He's probably not going to save against that, but let me just.
650 would be 100 each after the guild takes their.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking the first time. I was like, this is the first persuasion roll of the game. Let's try to go easy on this. Anyway.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, he was not able to resist that wonderful persuasion, but he says 640.
645. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, whatever. What's 5 gold?
What's 10 gold?
It's a principle of the thing, all right?
If I look back up, are the birds still there?
They are.
I'm just gonna point at them and look from behind Pebble and say, "Is that how you heard us? Are they yours?"
He chuckles and says, "That's why I told you that we should go to my house. Those birds are hers."
Can't say I take that kindly that she's watching us.
And won't she know where you live if they're following us?
He sort of chuckles like, "Oh, she already knows where I live." But inside my house, we'll be safe from her spies.
All right. Well, you offered us a better deal. Do we really have a reason to say no? He kind of looks at the group.
Nope. I also like Hugo way more than Moira.
I had a very off feeling about her, so I am inclined to believe this man.
This does involve the reputation of the guild, though. I'm inclined to discuss this matter with Quinn before coming to a decision.
Well, it's not like the guild can go any lower than it is right now.
Yeah. And
Hugo, as you guys are discussing, Hugo kind of stops because you can see that it's not so. He seems a little bit impatient, but he also seems like he doesn't want to be he doesn't want to be here right now. And he tells you guys like, listen, I'll tell you where my house is. All right, you guys go talk to whoever you want to talk to, and you come and meet me if you decide that that's what you want to do.
Do you need us to meet you before we get the item, or if we get it, should we just bring it to you?
Come and meet me first. And he tells you that he to look for a house. It's in the warehouse district is where he lives. But a house with a red door that has red double doors that have horses leaping over the sun carved on the doors. He's like, you can't miss it. It's easy to find.
All right.
All right. Well,
And there's it's he looks at, well, he wouldn't look at you because he wouldn't know, but he tells you that the he lives on Beggar's Row. That's the name of the street, which would be something that any of you who live here would probably be familiar with Beggar's Row. It's the main sort of like residential street in the warehouse district.
kind of slums almost, or kind of just kind of a.
I mean, it's not it's most of the houses there are pretty run down. Yeah, I mean, most houses in the warehouse district are run down, but
Dan's gonna look at Caden. He's gonna go, "Yeah, breaking a contract may do that, but here's the thing: if it's more money and we don't fall into a bigger trap, then what do you suggest we do?"
It's more money now, but we would. It's hard to describe. If we break a contract and stab the employer in the back, reputable employers will not turn to us.
That's
So we,
proper and fair.
we would
So
have to turn to more shady deals, which will likely cause us more danger. If she does double cross us, there's nothing stopping us from taking the item to this person afterwards, is there?
that's fine. But can we all agree that we should probably get this thing first before we go making that kind of decision?
As I suggested, I don't think it's our decision to make. I believe we should discuss it with Quinn.
Hmm.
Well, I have a way to kind of dive into the mind of a person. If we talk to one of them again, I can find out their reasoning and their true meaning behind these actions.
That would be helpful, but in the meantime, could you have your owl send a message?
Yeah, and he just again he calls it over from the roof, and he just slings his bag over onto his like stomach and takes a piece of paper out and says, well, "What?" And he just actually he doesn't even say anything. He just hands it to you and just says, "To who?"
To Quinn.
He pulls out ink and quill and hands it to you, too, and just says, "Yep, just write what you want."
I would like to summarize the conversation we had with the Goliath in, briefly, and just ask Quinn to send a reply in terms of what he would like us to do.
Basically, one's got more money, but it sounds like the initial employer might be a bit shady.
Yes, but there's a big difference between us breaking the contract and them breaking the contract.
Yeah. I'm willing to wait and see what Quinn does, as long as he gets out of the damn heat for.
The last thing we need is to have a reputation of breaking contracts.
Yeah.
Once he's finished writing the note, I'll roll it up and hand it to my owl, and I'll just tell him to wait for a response and then bring it back. And I'll look to everyone else and I'll just say, in the meantime, maybe we should try to get out of sight of those crows.
I can agree to that. Creepy little buggers.
We could probably just
can,
do the job.
We can meet up with Hugo. He wanted to discuss this with us before we went out, correct?
Daniel's looking for Dom while she's talking. That's looking at things. Right? That's a fair point, actually.
How long would it take to have this to go back and have this conversation with Quinn? Or rather, I would.
It would probably take you maybe 45 minutes to walk back to the guild.
I'll turn to Grix. If your owl is intercepted, would you know?
Well, I would know if it was attacked. He's rather flimsy, so any real damage to him, and he just poofs away.
I'll just kind of look at the group. Unless
He-
somebody would like to go back
He is
to the
very
guild hall.
fast.
I'm
Ah,
inclined to leave it up to the owl to deliver the message.
yeah, same. Let's just make sure none of those crows go flying off after me just for a bit.
Well, all right, then when I send him away, can I send him in like the wrong direction at first and see if the crows stay on us or follow it?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So I'll send him off in like a little bit towards the direction, like say if you said if it was off to the east, going a bit to the northeast at first, and just see if all the crows stay on us.
As the owl flies away, they do not leave their perch.
Okay. I'll point that out to everyone, and I'll just say, it seems that their task was us, not anything to do with my owl.
Maybe we should finish the job and discuss it from there.
Yeah, let's do something.
Alright, let's find the halfling and beat the shit out of him or dangle those little short legs over our bridge.
Are we going to talk to the big guy first?
Yep.
Right. Well then, let's go find his house.
Dave's gonna kind of pout at us. Like, all right.
So yeah, I will lead everyone to Beggar's Row and look for the house with the red doors and horses on this over the sun.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I would drop down and follow the group normally.
Okay. And as you guys are walking, I'm not gonna make you roll for it. You do notice that the two crows initially are following you, and then a minute or so later, the third bird that disappeared has reappeared, and continues to hop along as you guys are walking.
Yeah. So we'll find the house, and Grix is gonna just kind of look around and like look right at Pebble and just say, perhaps you would be the most friendly face for him.
Okay. And she just immediately goes and knocks on the door.
Oop, I had just my headset because the cat jumped on me. What did I miss? Sorry.
Just at the
Nothing.
door, and Pebble knocked.
Oh.
Yep.
All right. So let me move everybody here.
Does Pebbles know how to knock, or does she just punch the door?
Nope, she knocks.
So you should be at the bottom of the map if my dynamic lighting worked properly.
The entire map is black currently.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot because some of you are humans, so you don't have dark vision. So,
How dark is it in this house? Holy crap!
well, that's the problem with this is that like you really need to use dynamic lighting so that you don't see like everything that you. It's a weird thing where it's not necessarily dark, but if I don't use it, then you just see all of the map at once, which kind of is not what you would see if you were walking into a house, right? You wouldn't see like every room in the house.
Is there a
So
way to like scale a token to just like cover what you don't want?
I mean, you can use Fog of War, but I hate that, so I don't use it. But I
Okay.
will. But I will just adjust everybody's light for now. But to be fair, at this point, it's also probably getting pretty dark anyway. I'm just going to give everybody dark vision for now.
I mean, I also have a hooded lantern, so.
Oh yeah.
Well, I could just cast light if it's really that dark in here.
It's not going to be that dark in here at
Yeah.
the end of the day. It's just
Nah, I feel you.
but I'm going to give everybody what is equivalent to dark vision for now. So hopefully everybody should see now.
Yep.
Let me adjust this real quick. All right. So from the other side of the door, you hear some movement. Let me pull this up here. Everything's on the wrong layer. So the door opens up, and you see an armed guard standing at the door. Opens it up and, yes, what can I do for you?
Hello, we're here to see Hugo.
He kind of nods and then steps to the side. Though you probably can't even see this because it's on the wrong layer. So there's your guard.
Thank you.
And so yeah, you guys can all walk in now.
Yeah, she immediately moves towards you, Hugo.
So what's quite interesting as you all enter into this sort of courtyard, as it were, is that unlike the rest of the city, which, as I'd mentioned previously, a lot of the greenery had started to wither, and you can see that this place, there's a beautiful large fountain in the center with the nice cooling water. The grass is green. You get the scent of flowers in the air. There is the sound of birds chirping. It's sort of this oasis of beauty in this sort of like not a very beautiful place in the warehouse district. So even on the outside, before the door was opened, it didn't look like a very a nice place necessarily from the outside. So this is very quite a contrast to what you saw previously. Everybody go ahead and do another quick perception check.
Is this where we all step on traps?
Oh, nice. Wow, our rolls kind of suck this time, except for like pebbles.
All right.
Welcome back.
So sorry, I had to plan for multiple outcomes for how you decide this. So I got to find the part where, okay, if they chose this path, it's here. Try to figure out where. Okay, so let's see who noticed this. Pebble is the only one who noticed this. Inside the fountain, there is a water elemental. Whether or not you would exactly know what a water elemental is, may be up for discussion, but at the very least, you notice that there's something in the fountain. And you can see that there are two guards that are standing by a tree over here to your right. But Hugo, you can see, is sitting at this very large, like multiple tables, just with this elaborate spread of food out in front of him. There's sausages and like very rare cooked steaks and pigeon pie and fried chicken and grilled pork and lamb cutlets and fish and crab and like everything you can imagine. And he's all just sort of like, just as you walk in, like he was eating and he hasn't stopped eating. And he's just sort of like looking at you expectantly, like, what would you like to say?
Is it okay if I eat a little bit of that? And she points at some of the food.
And he sort of just like motions for you, like, yeah, help yourself.
And she starts eating.
All right. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I would say like Daniel, unless Pebble told Daniel, he wouldn't even know that there is a water elemental in there.
Oh, fair enough. So he's gonna kind of look at the fountain, like, huh, that's weird. But he's gonna look over at Hugo and go, "All right, friend, you've earned our attention. Speak your piece."
Well, I happen to know pretty much where Creighton goes to sell off his ill-gotten gains, and that seems like it might be useful to you all.
It is. Has DW sold anything yet?
Based on what I overheard from Moira, he probably would have attempted it by now, at the very least. There's a fence. Her name's Marina Idril, but everybody calls her the Dryad.
The hell's a dryad?
Just a weird woodland creature of some kind. But
Oh, fair
she's
enough.
an elf. She's an apothecary, but at least that's the outward appearance that she gives. But she likes to buy things that came across her or came to her in less than legal means.
She seems someone I'm less likely to punch.
She's pretty dangerous. I wouldn't probably try to punch her.
All right. Well, would you happen to know what she's? I bit my tongue. I keep doing that. Would you happen to know what she's wanting to try to have us get back for her?
Not really. Again, for me, this is just a game. I hate Moira, and this is something that she wants, so I want to take it from her.
You told us that she's a liar. How do we know you're not?
And you can see he kind of looks at you, almost like in a very like he's been pretty jovial to this point. And when you say that, he looks at you like is about to reach across the table and tear you in half.
Pebble also has a cross look on her face.
And he goes, I suppose you don't.
All right. Well, with that in mind, I'll only say that she's wanting us to get a jewel back for her. Kind of watching him.
It's like, I really couldn't care less. You have to understand, if you think me a liar, I have nothing to gain from this. I just think it's funny. I just want to annoy her. I don't even want the item. I don't care if you get it. I don't care. I just don't want her to have it.
All right. Calm yourself. Okay, bust a pretty noggin of yours having a stroke or something. That said, we did have to send a message to our patron, I guess you should say. You offer a bigger deal, but that's kind of where we're at the moment.
He just sort of like looks like, okay, like, why are you telling me? I don't.
Grix is gonna start fiddling around in his backpack again and just pull out a little piece of a little copper piece.
Who is?
And Grix.
That's not what you said.
Oh.
What did
Well,
he say?
Grix is gonna. I thought I did.
I thought you said Grix.
But I'm gonna kind of just walk behind one of the bigger guys and go ahead, and I'm gonna cast Detect Thoughts on Hugo.
So is it? Are there somatic? I mean, do you have to make hand movements?
Yep, that's why I'm
Okay,
going behind one of the bigger guys to try to block view.
All right. Well, even with that, go ahead and do a sleight of hand check, just for fun.
All right. Not great at this.
Not
terrible.
bad. Not bad, yeah.
And yeah,
With
so
half
I will
cover?
know his surface thoughts. I'm mainly going to be looking for if he is being if he really is just wanting to screw this person he doesn't like over, or if it's something more what Grix would consider sinister.
The most his main surface thoughts are that he's hungry and that he's continuing to eat. If you were to ask him questions, it says like that you can questions verbally directed at the target creature may naturally shape the course of his thoughts. So if someone asks him about her or something like that, you might be able to get more about what he thinks. But I mean, by default, I wouldn't say that he's like specifically thinking about like I'm lying to these people or anything.
Then I am going to do my best to just be looking very, very nervous, which I'm not even going to have to act, and look from behind Verlin and just, what made you hate her so much?
And you can see that he kind of pauses for a second and says that she double-crossed me in a deal. His surface thoughts, however, tell a slightly different story. And that you do get the impression that he is being truthful in the fact that he does actually just want to screw with her. But it wasn't because she double-crossed him in a deal. It's because she rebuffed his advances and refused his offer of marriage.
Okay.
And so now he just wants to kind of humiliate her. He doesn't want her to like come to any harm, or like he just wants to humiliate her. He doesn't want her like dead or anything like that. He really is just being spiteful at this point. That's really all it is. And he genuinely doesn't seem to know like anything about. He just overheard the conversation and was like, "Oh, this seems like something that I can screw with her because she wants this thing, so I'll try and make sure she doesn't get that thing."
And I mean, you could probably make a wisdom save since it's probably been more than 6 seconds.
Oh, he's terrible.
And I don't want to go deeper. I just want to try to keep in the same place so he won't know that I'm doing it.
What's your spell DC?
16.
Oh, here he rolled 19 on his wisdom save.
So the spell just ends.
Okay. So, but since I didn't try to go deeper, he doesn't notice that. Okay. Yeah. All right. After it fails, Grix kind of like just pokes his head back around behind Verlin and just kind of stands there.
Well, it's just a matter of screwing with her. I gotta talk to my compatriots here for a second, though. He's gonna come closer and kind of goes, well, so here's the thing. Here's where my mind's at. We got an employee here that has to do a job for, or wanting us to do a job for, rather. But if it's just straight having vengeance, I'm not looking to get into a big feud. What do you lot think?
My thought hasn't changed. I like Hugo better.
I don't care. He's paying more.
Yes, but there's more to this than just money. I'm inclined to stick with our original employer.
Well, I wouldn't mind doing either one of the jobs. With his, we also get to keep the jewel, but it depends on what Quinn says.
Also,
what I
take
said.
into consideration that this is purely just to spite her. If we're doing business, we follow the original contract.
Are like, do I have? If I look at these people, does it seem like they can hear what we're saying, or are we being quiet enough?
I'll say for just aside from the map, I'll say that you guys stepped outside.
Okay. All right, then I'm gonna look at everyone and say, he's also lying. By the way, it's not because she double crossed him.
What?
Yeah, he lied.
So what's the real thing?
Grick starts turning red again in the cheeks a little bit. He goes, he liked her, and she declined his advance.
Oh, for Pete's sake! Dan's gonna kind of pinch the bridge of his nose, like, oh.
But if he's lying about that, why should we believe him with everything else?
Let's just go ahead with the original contract. Let's not mess around with it.
That's kind of where I'm at. Let's see what this jewel is first before we go thinking of anything here, because we still gotta wait for the owl to get back.
Yeah, I suppose. Who wants to go back in and tell him that we're gonna go and I suppose just tell him that we're gonna talk to our boss and figure out what we're gonna do.
If you wish, I can go in and tell him we have no interest in his offer and leave.
That decision is somewhat with Quinn now, since we sent him the note.
I can go say we're gonna go wait for the bird and get the jewel. And I will thank him for the food because it was actually really yummy.
And that's it. Don't nothing about how we know he lied. And I know you think he's friendly, but he looked like he was gonna kill me.
Okay.
I'll just go tell him we're gonna do our job, and we'll see what happens from there.
And Pebble goes in. Is just like, okay, we've decided to wait for our boss to tell us what to do, and also we're gonna go get the gem now.
And he looks a little bit disappointed, but he kind of like nods, and he in giant he tells you that you should come and work for him instead of these losers.
She just tilts her head a bit, is like, well, for now I'm gonna work for them, and she says that in giant, and then says, but I guess if it doesn't work out, I can come here. I do know Goliath way better than other gnomes and stuff.
And he just tells you that the offer stands.
Thank you, Hugo. You were super nice, and your food was super yummy.
You can hear Daniel loudly groan from outside.
Bye-bye. And she will head out.
All right.
All right.
All right, so yeah, Grix is gonna look at everyone and just I guess we should look for the little hut in the meantime, and then we can find Archie when he gets back.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. By the way, did any of you notice that funny water thing in the fountain?
Just a fountain, wasn't it?
No, there was something in it. It was moving around and it looked funny.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm not gonna lie.
A fish?
No, not a fish. It was like more water and water. It was really weird.
Huh. Well, weird fish or water or I don't know what the hell. Let's just find this wee little pop the gem out.
We did get some good information. Do we want to go to the fence, or do we want to just look for the person to begin with?
Here's the problem: we don't know what the fence is. So even if we sold it to a fence, we'd still need to find him first.
We got the fence's name, right?
Yeah, the Dryad.
Yeah.
Is what they're known as, and I mean, they're an apothecary, right? Do we know the location of the apothecary shop based on our conversation with Hugh?
That's kind of what I was asking. Like, we don't know. I don't know where that is.
Yeah, you don't know where it is, so you would have to ask around to find out. And I mean, I don't know if any of you would have the background or knowledge to be smart enough to realize that maybe it's not a smart thing to do, to specifically going and ask around for the Dryad.
I mean, I do have
Common sense
the
check.
background of bounty hunter, which gives me ear to the ground.
I might know, considering my background. I don't think I've had to train anyone.
Well, I mean, I think Dawn would probably be aware. It's just a matter of would she decide to share that with everybody.
No, yeah, definitely.
I would be inclined to try to hunt down the thief first. Confronting the fence is not advantageous.
Not the slightest.
So, if we do end up having to go to the fence, it might turn into us having to purchase the gem from them.
All right. At least we have Dawn for if it comes to all that.
Yeah.
You don't
So
know.
at the very least, I mean, currently the knowledge that you would have as far as the thief is concerned is like Hugo knew who it was, like knew the name, which is Creighton, and I'll just type it.
He had a mud hut. Yeah. So yeah.
It's the same person that's the person that that Moira told you about, that she believed that she saw leaving her abode with, and then found that this item that she's describing was lost or stolen. And Hugo knows that Creighton is a thief, and does often fence his stolen items to the Dryad. Moira mentioned that he lives in some little shack in the warehouse district. Hugo didn't tell you where he lived, and Moira doesn't know where he lives specifically.
All right. So what do we want to do? Just walk around and look for a bit, or do we want to start talking to people?
Could I use my background feature?
I don't know what it is off the top of my head. Probably.
It's criminal contacts.
Also, I don't know if anybody else. I'm having a hard. You're super quiet.
She's a little quiet. There
Yeah.
you go.
I had to turn her up a little bit earlier.
I mean, I have her turned up all the way to 200% in Discord. So
I'll like try
Scream
and
into
put
the
the mic
mic.
super up.
okay,
Is this better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out how to like click. I think I've put my background feature in a way that I can't click it into Roll20.
Yeah. So you have
Make sure you
reliable
don't
and
have the
trustworthy-
yellow pencil clicked.
Yeah, because if the pencil's you wouldn't be able to roll if perception checks if
Oh,
No, you could
yeah, you
still
could.
roll when
Oh,
you're
can
in
you?
edit mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the top of your screen, right under your
Okay.
character name, make sure
Wow.
the pencil is gray.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
did
so
not
now-
even notice that.
Now try clicking.
there you go.
Or would this, like a reliable contact who, hold on.
I would think that we should seek out uh, Creighton first.
That's what we're trying to do. We don't know
Yeah, I
where
think she's
exactly
trying
he is.
to see if she could use some sort of contact to do that.
Is she reaching out for Creighton or for the Dryad?
Creighton, I think. She told us like in character on the chat that it'd not be a good idea to openly seek them.
I mean,
Well, but this wouldn't be openly seeking her.
we could always just ask around subtly in the warehouse district.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just leave it to you guys or DM whether this seems like an appropriate time.
Yeah, I mean, I would say with I mean, if you're looking for Creighton, I mean, he is specifically within the warehouse district. Most people would know who he is because he's an irritant for most of just about everybody. Whether they're criminals or not, lots of people know who he is. So asking around for him would probably be somewhat less dangerous. If you figure there's someone who's a fence and you're asking around, that starts to raise questions. But if you're asking for someone that's just a criminal that people don't like, you probably are going to be run into fewer people that would want to protect him, I suppose.
Okay. So we don't really need it just yet.
Okay. All right. Well, is there like a guard or anybody coming by?
Within the warehouse district, there's not a whole lot of members of the watch. For the most part, it's because the warehouse district is just that. So there is it's mainly just warehouses. So the in addition to storage facilities, the warehouse district is also home to a few breweries, and it is home to the other well-known crime family within Rivengard, which are the Fire Brews. And they are a crime family that focuses mostly on the distribution of alcohol. They are originally founded by dwarves, and their Fire Brew Ale is where their name comes from. But for them, they control most of the alcohol trade. So they have their hands involved in basically a lot of the taverns and restaurants and things like that. But they also, in addition to providing the alcohol, they also do the age-old pay us for protection.
Is there, well, as we're walking along, is there like a particular merchant nearby of sort, like a dwarf of sort?
There aren't too many merchants in the warehouse district.
I mean, like a dwarvish, something that looks like they're moving that kind of product through. That's a fire brew business.
Well, I mean, the Fire Brew brewery and distillery is a pretty easy place to find. That is essentially where they are headquartered, just like the Hill Strikers are in the casino. The Fire Brews are here in their brewery and distillery is where they operate out of, and it's a pretty obvious place to find if you wanted to.
Yeah, Daniel kind of looked up and said, all right, pardon me 1 second. I'm going to go ask around. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting around with our thumbs up around. He's going to go towards the brewery real quick.
As he's walking away, I say to everyone else, that's not a good idea for him.
He's still going.
So, it's a pretty large. I mean, it's this weird hybrid brewery distillery warehouse. So it's an enormous building, which is why it's pretty easy to find.
Yep.
And outside of it, you do see a number of rather rough-looking dwarves hanging about. In addition to a few other, there's some humans there as well.
Daniel's going to approach the dwarves, and he's going to kind of adjust his coat a little bit so he hides the gun. He's going to speak in Dwarvish. Evening, friend. You mind if I bother you for a second?
They both, the two that are closest that you get the attention of, they kind of look at each other like, who is this idiot? And then they look back at you sort of incredulously and like, yeah, we do mind.
Oh, come on now. I'm sure we can all work something out. I'm looking for somebody, and that someone happens to be a bit of a pain in the ass for a lot of in the bad way.
And one of them sort of like steps forward a little bit. You can tell sort of like defensively a bit. He said, the only pain in the ass here is you.
You know what, friend? I'm liable to agree with that, and frankly, you'll find no argument. I'm just hoping you could help. He thumbs his Dwarvish Tinker's badge, the Tinker's Guild badge, because
he spits on your shoe.
no, that ain't proper. All right. Tell me where. He kind of trails off for a second. He's like, well, whatever. Gray man's a hell of a lot more friendlier than you folk. He'll go find a human then. That's fine. He'll go up to one of the humans. He's like, well, I should have seen that coming. Can I bother you for a second?
And you can see that as soon as you start walking towards them, the humans look at the dwarves and they like immediately stop making eye contact and try to like hurry away as soon as possible. You get the idea that these humans just work for the dwarves and are not in any position to be talking to anybody if they saw their bosses act that way. So you can see that they kind of just like quickly like start walking as fast as they can away from you.
Danny's gonna give this very long sigh. He's going to put a cigarette. He's gonna light a cigarette, just kind of with it real quick, just and take a long drag, like in Dwarvish, clear Dwarvish, like fucking. Look, friend. I know. You probably want my ass gone. But do you know where Creighton is? I'm a little halfling bastard in Creighton. Like this, kind of across the way to the dwarves.
So and the one that you talked to previously, you can see he puts a couple fingers in his mouth and he whistles really, really loudly. And within a few seconds, you can see like 5 or 6 more dwarves like walk out of the warehouse carrying like bats.
He kind of lifts his hands like, I'm not looking for trouble. I just want to know. I'm happy to leave. Get like both hands up, but he's not going for his gun. He's not going to do that.
And the one just kind of like does that really like just kind of like motions his hand just like shoo.
All right. He kind of gives like the 2 finger salute and he just kind of walks back to the group. Says, well, I should have seen that coming, but I thought I had more friends with the dwarves.
Trust me, you do not want to be friends with the fire brews.
I suppose, but that's kind of the problem. My mentor's got a lot of old contacts with the dwarves, but apparently not the fire brew.
It's not the same as what the family you're referring to. They are strictly in the business of crime as the dwarves. They don't have many contacts with the legitimate businesses.
I know, but even so, he kind of shakes his head like, well, whatever. I figured it was worth a shot, whether or not the brought bats out or not. I'm not going to go in guns blazing. I'm not an idiot.
And technically, the fire brews are not actually from Rivengard either. The fire brews actually are from the actual dwarven
city itself, almost.
City itself, and they are transplants essentially. So this is sort of like a branch of the fire brews. They're not like the home office, so to speak. So these guys have no sort of like loyalty, or they couldn't care less about the city itself.
Well, I'm open to other suggestions.
Verlon's already walked off and to start searching.
Yeah, Grix is going to look at everyone and say, well, especially getting to be this time of night, we should not be splitting up. We should go find him and stick together.
But he already left.
Yes, well, that's why I said we should go find him.
Oh, you meant find him.
Yes.
I meant go find the halfling.
No, well, that too, but this isn't the safest place to be by yourself at night.
Don't worry, I will punch anyone who comes nearby and protect you.
He kind of looks at her like half smiling, half one eyebrow raised, and just says, thanks.
You're welcome.
And we'll go start looking for Verlin. Well, I at least Grix will.
Yep.
So,
Pebble would follow after.
I would say, how much time would you think is passed for the owl? Yeah.
I mean, it's probably had enough time to make its way back, but I mean, like, whether or not, like, I mean, like, I hesitate to do too much with the familiar basically replacing the message spell, but
if we were in the same city, I wouldn't have done it.
You do get sort of it's not actually from Quinn is not the one who responds. It's actually Nyx is the one who responds, the gnome, the administrator of the guild. And he initially he has beautiful handwriting, by the way, but he admonishes you for sending an owl to bother his cat. So that's the first thing that he does. He's very protective of buttons. And secondly, he says, per the guild charter, we do not break contracts.
All right. Then that's that.
Nobody actually mentioned the guild charter to any of you, so like just the fact that he said that is the thing that you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess we have one of those. But
Yeah.
mostly he spends like the majority of the letter complaining about you sending your stupid bird to bother his cat, and then at the very end he's like, the guild charter.
By the way,
says
guild
we don't break
charter.
contracts. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah. So I leave the whole part out about being scolded, and it appears that we are not meant to break the contract. So we'll be working for Moira.
Ah, hell. Well, that's great and all, but how the hell are we supposed to find this halfling?
We do know what his home looks like, and there's other people besides, the big crime families that we could ask for directions.
You can just scream really loud and say, "Where's Creighton?"
But
That's not exactly a good idea, dog.
that might let him know that we're looking for him, and then he could hide even better.
Shit. All right. He's like, well, he's gonna look at Dawn. And he's gonna go, all right, look, I'm trying. You can give me as much shit for the dwarves there if you want. If I give it a shot, but we're kind of, I don't want to say a wit's end. That's not right. But we need to find this place because if it gets dark out, I agree with him. I don't want to be outside here. So, are you able to go up on a building or something and take a look? Even for something that remotely looks like what we're looking for?
How big is this district? Would me going up on a roof really cover
Well,
much?
They
yeah.
don't have, like it's probably. I mean, most of the warehouses are relatively tall, but as far as like, there aren't a lot of like multi-story buildings here. Even the homes that are here are generally no more than 2 stories. So it's not a very tall district, I guess. It's I mean, the warehouses could be multiple stories high, but it's, you could probably, if you climb up on top of a warehouse, for example, you could see probably a fair amount of the district itself.
Okay. Well,
Is there a store nearby, someplace that might be targeted by this?
There are a few shops here, but they're it's sort of a weird thing where I mean, obviously most of the shops themselves are in the marketplace, there are a few smaller shops here, but like the majority of places that you would go and buy things are kind of it's almost like a wholesale type of thing. So like you would have the uh
Yeah, like the Costco's.
yeah, where like you might have some places that essentially overstock stuff that didn't sell in the marketplace, so that you might be able to pick stuff up. But again, it's more so it's I guess you might call it more of like a gray market. It's not black market or anything like that. Nothing they're doing is necessarily illegal, but it's all kind of like a little bit.
Kind of like a bazaar almost.
Yeah, it's there's not a whole lot going on. I mean, like there are like the apothecary where the dryad is, like her apothecary is in the warehouse district. But I guess like the best way to describe it is that the markets or the shops and stuff that are here are not ones that are specifically, I guess, for the general public. I get like it's like they're
It's
kind
like
of shady.
warehouse it like.
Yeah, they're kind of shady businesses. Again, it's not full on black market stuff. It's a little bit shady. It's kind of the stuff where you're basically, it's like the shops and you're in a bad neighborhood, and so like if you don't know these people, they may be disinclined to do business with you.
It's where you go to the bodega after liquor stores close and you still buy liquor.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly like what it is. So like there are like there's some alchemical shops. There's some like a few there again, there's like the distilleries and there's factories and a lot of the storage facilities. So one of the things that you do notice while you're here is that you do get sort of the terrible smell of like the chemicals and steam and things of that nature, because the warehouse district is right next to, and in some cases they are considered two separate districts, but they're adjacent to each other. So there is also like a manufacturing district where you would have like your factories and stuff, where large scale products are made. So they're all kind of like, the stuff is made in the manufacturing district. It's housed in the warehouse before it's either shipped off to other places off the continent or to other places on the continent, that type of thing. So you're kind of in a mix of manufacturing and warehouse at this point. And so yes, there are a few shops here and there, but nothing. You don't see a whole lot of signs for them either. It's not like they're advertising that they're selling a bunch of stuff. So
Okay, I'll turn to Grix. Didn't you say there was another brewery around here? Maybe one that isn't owned by a local crime family?
As you're talking to him, he's already sitting just down on the ground in the middle of the street, and his eyes are glowing like a little greenish. And I'm just gonna send my owl up and look through his eyes and see if I
Find something. Huh?
Yeah, that might be a better idea.
well, again, specifically, you guys don't really know what you're looking for. Like, you were told that he lives in a hut.
Yeah, so
Basically.
it's a place we could actually, it's a place actually like a shop we could find just to ask somebody even.
So yeah, I mean, like from an aerial view, it's probably even more difficult to discern what would be
Fair
a
enough.
shop, because again, it's all relatively shorter buildings, and so there are no signs for the shops like there would be in the marketplace that would specifically say, hey, this is a blacksmith or what have you. So it's kind of like you need to know where to go to get these things, and then you kind of have to know the right people to be able to even get there in the first place. So you've got, like, in addition to the warehouses and things like that, you would probably, the places that you would find here are like money lenders and things like that, right? So this is sort of that gray area of loan sharks aren't necessarily illegal, but it's generally not. It's usually loan sharks aren't the nicest of folks, I suppose.
Then yeah, like he can't hear you or anything like that or see while he's looking through the owl's eyes. So he his eyes fade back to normal color. He just snaps back and goes, "Well, I can't see anything from up there," and he just points to the owl.
Is there anybody in the street right now, or at least like nearby?
Yeah, I mean, there's like workers and stuff that are milling about.
Okay. Daniel, go try to go up to one and go in common. Just go. Hey, sorry to bother you. Can I ask a question?
You get one of the people to stop for a moment and kind of wait for you to.
Sorry, friend. I'll make it quick, I promise. But we're looking for somebody. Unfortunately, we're looking for a little thief named Creighton. You know him?
He kind of you can see that he's genuinely trying to like place the name.
There's a little short stack. He makes like make a motion with his hand for height, like a halfling.
It's like not familiar with it, but
I'll. Oops, sorry. Good.
So if you're looking for thieves, ask some of the beggars. They usually know those people. And then he just walks on.
That you kind of calls out and thank you. Well, so I guess are there any beggars around?
I mean, it might take you a little bit of time to find some, but you could probably come across at least one.
I'll flag down a beggar. Kind of like try to be unintimidating. Like he's not gonna have the gun right in their face. That's again stupid. It kind of goes, "Evening, friend." Kind of like he's looking visibly frustrated. It's like, can I bother you?
And the guy that you find as you get closer, he's sitting on the ground. He's got a cane. You notice that that he's blind. And he says, kind of. You can see that when you ask him something, he kind of like kind of moves the container that he's got that he's basically panhandling. Like, hey, you want to know something? And he kind of basically just kind of jingles the coins that he has.
All right, so I'm looking for somebody, and I will give you a whole gold piece for it. I'm looking for a little halfling thief named Creighton.
And you can see that as soon as you say the name, he kind of his jaw kind of clenches a little bit. It's like, how do you know that one?
Frankly, to keep it simple, between you and me, I'm looking to kick his ass from here to heaven. He's got something I want, and I'm willing to shoot his nuts off to get it back.
You see that he starts nodding. You know that that little prick has been putting buttons in here saying that he was giving me money while at the same time taking my coins.
I'll tell you what, tell me where he is, I'll break a couple extra fingers for you.
Well, I don't specifically know where he is, but the builders, they probably know where he is. And he sort of like takes his cane and like points down the way, and you can see at this point it's getting pretty dark actually. It's summertime, so it's been light longer than it would be normally, obviously.
Yep.
But you can see down the way that there's like scaffolding, and it looks like they're building a new warehouse. And he sort of like points down to those guys, that they probably know where he is.
I ain't trying to cause no offense, but I've already been asked by a bunch of folk. Well, not had much luck, obviously. The end kind of lasts a little bit. Like, are you sure they would know something?
And he kind of shrugs a little bit. He's like, they would know more than me.
That's fair. That's fair. He's going to lean down, kind of, not like roughly, but he's going to kind of grab his hand a second. And he's going to put the gold piece in between his fingers, kind of have him rub like his thumb and forefinger together so he can feel it. And he's going to take the coin, just plunk it in his little plate. That's how I can put it. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. He still kind of looked at the group and said, well, the old man says the builders might know something, but it's getting kind of dark, but what do you think?
Carl having a side
I
conversation.
believe it would be far too risky at night, perhaps for some of us, to be walking around. I distinctly look at the two gnomes.
Hevel is in a deep conversation.
All right, that's fair. Head back to Quinn's, or do we just find a little hovel?
There's a tavern much closer that we can probably just come back in the morning more quickly if we want to go there. It's not very expensive.
Not a bad little place. Get a nice drink at least.
We still need to find Verlin.
And where is Burley?
Yeah, where did he go? He just walked off, I think.
Yep, I went off looking to find him myself.
Make an investigation check.
23.
So kind of in like the rundown part of the district and asking around there.
Yeah, with the 23, if you can find your way back to your friends, you were able to get a general idea about where this apothecary is. You weren't able to find out where Creighton lives, but you were able to find out what you believe where the Dryad's shop is.
Fair enough. I should be competent enough to be able to retrace my steps.
Yeah, I won't make you roll for that. So as everybody's like, well, how the hell are we going to find him? Like, he just comes walking up behind everybody.
See Daniel Joe like, fucking hell.
I
Well,
found
there
the
you are.
apothecary.
No shit?
Yes, I just went to the area it would be, asked around and found it.
I know you don't rightly know what's proper, but you probably shouldn't be wandering off too far.
I'm used to being in dangerous situations alone.
Yeah, well, now that we know the place, I think the general idea now is to bunker down for the night.
So there's no tavern or inn in the warehouse or manufacturing district. However, the closest to you at this point, you would be wanting to go to the harbor district, and there is a relatively cheap inn/tavern that you could go to that's called the Iron Bucket. And it'd probably cost you about 2 gold each for the night to stay there and get food and that type of stuff. So
All right. I got a character. Are you want to do that?
Sure.
If that's what everyone wants to do, sure.
All right.
So how much gold was that?
Two each.
It would be 2 gold each for the night plus. So it's room and board, with your dinner paid for as well.
Fair enough. Yep.
So you make your way there to the Iron Bucket. It takes you. It's dark by the time you get there. So the question is there anything that you all would like to discuss while you're at the Iron Bucket?
I guess Daniel openly complained for a second, kind of as they kind of bunker down and start. At least I'm assuming we're doing dinner or something first before bed.
Yeah.
He goes, well, that kind of sucks. We'll be out a little bit more money, but if the guild charter says that, I guess you can't say otherwise. Huh?
It's much safer than wandering that district at night.
I suppose, but man, an extra 150 gold? Well, you know what I mean. It kind of waves off the approximation, you know.
So you are
It's-
upset that we didn't take Hugo's offer?
Well, I wouldn't say upset. That would be kind of pushing it, but I don't know. If you have an opportunity to go for more money, even for where I'm from, right in the city, wouldn't you want to take it?
It's better to have a more solid reputation. You get more jobs.
I suppose. But you know what? If we're gonna do this, I'm gonna make sure I'm good and plastic before bed. Hey, he's gonna kind of call over the bar. He's like, "Look, I know there's some places that have their own air quotes unique concoctions in the back. Can we get that?" And he jerks the thumb at Pendle. He goes, "Make sure she gets a half order."
They just sort of like wave at you, and they come back with, for all intents and purposes, it's kind of like a screwdriver. It's pretty much just like vodka and some fruit juice put in there, and that's like their it's not a specialty, but like when you ask for something weird, that's kind of what they give you, because that's not really a common beverage.
Yeah, I was like, then I give it a pretty honest clap, like, "All right, I'll take that." He kind of lifts up, and anybody wants to cheers to that?
Cheers. Pebble raises her cup.
Clink, 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 clink. Just down to just. Oh, all right. Didn't quite expect that.
Pebble downs it as well.
Grix will push
I'll
his little
just sip
glass
mine.
in front of Pebble.
She downs that one as well.
I think Danica looks at that and goes, "I can't have a feel we've done something wrong here, but well, too late."
As everyone is doing this, and Grix is gonna look at Pebble and say, so this magic, you say you didn't learn it."
Nope. It just happens sometimes. Except for the make things appear, and she uses minor illusion again to make a box appear. That thing I can do like all the time.
And was there anything happening at the time you discovered this? I've read places where people in danger can make things happen, but what was yours?
I got really angry.
Oh, that's new. And you see him pull out a paper and just start writing stuff down.
I mean, I don't know everything about magic, but everyone else found that funny? She got so mad, her veins popped, and all of a sudden, poof! Danica gets a really weird
A
little
box
cackle.
appeared in her hands.
So mad.
As he says that, Grix kind of looks at you very sternly and says, "Your veins popped?"
No.
It's a figure of speech, Grix.
He scratches something off in his paper.
He kind of shakes his like, "Well." So I guess if we're gonna be working together, or at least pairing up from time to time, God knows how these jobs go. He kind of weighs that off. I guess what's everybody's reason for trying to join the guild, if it ain't too improper to ask?
I already said I want to get stronger.
Oh yeah, but it's got to be always more to that. Say you get to be the strongest in the world, Pebble. Say you get to break the world in half just by sheer power alone. What exactly would you do?
Go back to my tribe. And then do the coming of age ceremony, and this time I will actually do it, and then I will be an adult.
That don't quite answer my question. You can get all the power in the world, so kind of. He kind of waves off, like, "Well, that's what I get, I suppose." How about you?
Are you-
And I'll kind of interrupt, and I'll look at Pebbles. And why do you want to get stronger?
Because I can't beat the coming of age ceremony, like I said.
And
Okay.
I'm going to interrupt and say, are you implying that if you fail the coming of age ceremony, you don't get to become an adult?
Yep.
But what if you just continue aging?
Well, then I'm the oldest child, which is technically what's happening right now, which is why I'm trying to get stronger. She's just looking at her as if she's stupid.
How do you not know this?
Odd. But you
I
are
agree.
a child.
No, I'm the oldest child. I'm 17. There's some adults that are 15.
Pebble, I'm quite a bit older than you, and I'm still technically not an adult for someone like us. And he kind of points to him and her.
You mean a gnome?
Yeah. Yes. We in our culture it takes a bit longer.
I wasn't raised with gnomes.
Yes, but you still are one.
No. Then you'll become adult when you become an adult, and I will become adult when I do the coming of age ceremony and actually beat it.
I agree. I'm just saying that you shouldn't be too hard on yourself because as far as gnomes go, you're already further ahead than most of us.
I don't get it.
I think she grew up in a different environment. It seems that their definition of adult is not limited to age alone.
I said it might be kind of a culture shock going on there.
And just real quick, I think everyone else is a human aside from Dawn.
Aside from the gnome?
No.
Wait, so it's 2 gnomes and all humans?
Seems like it.
Yeah,
Oh,
seems
okay.
like.
For some reason, I thought you were part elf.
Those weirdo variant humans, whatever they are.
All right. How about you, Verlin? Why'd you want to join the guild?
I'm primarily here to train and make coin. That's all.
Yeah, but think about this for a second. You could have made just as much coin without you going to the guild, so why'd you choose?
For the contacts.
I can understand that.
Plus, my kind aren't really welcome this far north.
Your kind. He's gonna kind of look him over. Does he look relatively human, or am I missing?
He's got yellow eyes.
Maybe it's something else I'm missing, but what do you mean, your kind?
I mean, everybody. I would say everybody probably, but Pebble, because she wouldn't know this. Roll I guess do a history check.
Yeah, okay.
Verlin, you don't need to do it either because this is about you.
Yeah.
20. Oh God!
Dawn's not.
God! Oh man!
Yeah, I have no idea what he's talking about.
You think he's from Venus or something?
Caden sort of has like a passing sort of like understanding of sort of what the monster hunters sort of are. Grix and Daniel, you both would know that there are the monster hunters are from the south of Aricania, and they do have different I guess almost like with their own guilds within their group, which is the different subclasses. So you have like what you would assume with like a 20 and a 23, that he's probably been mutated, and that's why his eyes look the way that they do.
Danny kind of looks at him for a moment and goes, "Oh, well, you're in good company here. I guess I ain't quite born here myself, or well, I am from the city proper, so."
But yes, that's why I'm primarily here to train, make money, and that's about it.
Danny's gonna kind of down the rest of the drink. He's like, "Oh, I hate that." He's gonna just kind of put the mug back on there. Like, so mostly money and interests and well, kind of weird folk, aren't you? How about you, Dom?
I just need money.
He's gonna
Nothing
look
that
at her
interesting.
incredulously. He's like, "Fucking hell! I know fortune is favor, but kind of fell out of I fell out of its rut here. But all of you want nothing but money? Jeez.
I don't need money.
Well, you get a point of like, all right, moving on. Out of character, did I ask Grix?
No.
All right, Grix, if you tell me money, I swear to God, I'm gonna slap you. He's gonna give like a playful expression.
No. I finished school over at the academy, and I am off to begin my research.
What are you researching?
He kind of looks directly at Pebble and says, "Well, I've always understood magic that the way I learned it, and the way and he looks over towards Caden and says how people can obtain it from gods, and some people can do nature magic and such. But I'm very fascinated by the spontaneous or chaotic magics.
Hmm.
I
The
can make
ones
myself glow when there's magic stuff near me.
he kind of gets a big grin on his face and says like that, and how she said she got angry. That's the first I've ever heard that reported that that could cause magical connections.
What? Someone rage so hard they can do magic? That you think with how magic is, he kind of makes this like dismissive motion. You think that'd be more common?
Well, and I've studied magic for the past 15 or so years, and I've never heard of.
Kind of gives like a nod at that. So, well,
Turn.
well, Terry, you cut out there. What's up?
Oh, she said, now it's your turn to say.
He kind of gets like a little laugh, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, Donnie. I was about ready to skip over that if no one's gonna say.
But now
He
I
kinda
said
gives-
it.
Aye. He kind of gives a shake of his head. It's like, oh hell. He leans back and rubs at his head. It's like, I suppose without getting too far into it, I told you about my mentor. His name's Greymane. Took me in when I was a kid. He kind of he gets a weird glance to Verlin for a moment. But he tears his gaze away anyway. There's a lot of he hesitates because like a fuck it moment. There was some research and some stuff that was taken from our shop. Uh, Lots of prototypes, shall we say. I was hoping to, I guess, like Verlin, get some contacts and maybe try to hunt down the bastards before they make some weird metallic mutation. Or trust me, there's a lot of shit in there that, even in theory, would be a game changer. So I'm hoping to maybe earn a friend or two along the way. When we did the investigation, when even the watch came in, they didn't find a damn clue. So Pikachu rolls his shoulders like, maybe not as interesting as money is some of you, but everybody's gonna have a goal.
Grix is gonna look over towards Caden and say, "What about you?"
I needed a change of scenery. Things have gotten a little stale in Belgros, and I figured my services might better be rendered here in Rivengard.
You didn't kill no one, did you? He gives like a side eye to him.
No, nothing like that.
That's good.
With the holy ones, you could usually tell the kind of person they'll be by their god. And Kalimvor, while some people fear him, is a necessary one.
I don't know. It's all. I was gonna say Greek to me, but I guess this doesn't really apply. It's all giant to me.
Well said, Grix. Some people are just misinformed about Kellamvor.
Hey, when I first read about him, it was very scary at first, but it does quite a good deal of explanation of how it is needed, and it's better than having a bunch of undead running around.
Yes, well, the undead thing is only a small part. A lot of it is just helping people make that transition. A lot of people struggle with the acceptance of it all.
So you keep the ghouls and ghosties at bay. Well, I'd say that's at least a good plus in my book.
I'll just sort of smile and give a nod to Daniel's elementary view.
I mean, he's not a big god person. That makes sense.
No, I understand.
As I look around, does anyone else have any sort of religious symbol, or no?
No.
Not I.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. And I'm sure Pebble doesn't either.
I did.
Pebble has no sort of religious symbol or anything, right, Tara?
Nope.
Okay.
Bunch of heathens.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to bring some religion to these people's lives.
Grix does pull out a little book, and it has like a symbol of a bunch of the gods on there. And it's just like one he studied from and stuff. And he goes, "This one would be the one I relate closest to." And he points to the Mistra symbol.
Yes, a lot of people in your position tend to flock to her.
He just nods and like kind of pats the book and puts it back, and just kind of sits there looking at everyone and just says, "So, tomorrow, perhaps we could have a better plan than just going there and wandering. It seems that Verlin had the best luck. Perhaps he can find where Creighton is."
Well, we can possibly talk to the apothecary and find out what she knows before we head off and try to find Creighton.
But if we find the apothecary, then wouldn't it make no sense to go find Creighton? Unless the jewel isn't there anymore.
I was going to say, we could at least see if he sold the damn thing, or, well, if the apothecary sold it, you never know.
But Dawn, didn't you say it wouldn't probably be very safe to go asking this apothecary about not so legal goods?
I believe it should be okay once we're at the apothecary. I more meant asking around for her location.
He kind of just nods and.
At least that's what I'm been led to believe by DM. I think. Because it's like, once you start asking people for her, you start to draw attention to yourself.
True.
Yeah. Bad attention.
So does Dawn speak Thieves' Cant then? With her
Yes.
background? Okay, I'm assuming she's the only one, right?
I literally speak. Actually, quick question: does common comprehend languages allow can't, or is that completely different? It's like its thing.
I think comprehend language is more. Let me take a look. I thought it's more spoken. Let me take a look.
No, because
That's what I mean.
languages allows you to read it too. I believe.
But I don't know if it's as much of a language as it is just like.
Yeah, that's like trying to say comprehend languages could understand sign.
The spell doesn't decode secret messages in a text or glyph, such as arcane symbol, is part of written language. Oh.
But Thieves' Cant, because
I kind of always took it to be more like double speak when it's being spoken, like saying stuff that doesn't mean it but means this instead, and. But yeah, either way, oh.
Seems. They call it's mixed, like a secret language in normal conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because the way that I've always kind of taken is that it's similarly to like Cockney rhyming in English, or in England, where you're basically just taking certain words and replacing them with other words. So if you don't understand the words that they're rhyming, you don't know what they're saying.
Yeah,
So
you mean
like,
Yeah, and I feel like-
just as the example of saying, like, it wouldn't work in D&D, but like when they say like we're Barney Rubble rhymes with trouble, so you say we're Barney Rubble, we're saying we're in trouble. So just things like that. So you would say a thing that like somebody else would find like gibberish and you wouldn't understand, So I've always kind of taken it as that. And then like, if any of you have played like Skyrim, you know, like the Thieves Guild would like make marks on doors to show what's safe. I mean, that's Thieves Cant has a script, but it's like that. Like they don't write words, but there are symbols that are used to say like this is a safe place, or this is a fence, or what have you. And if you don't speak Thieves Cant, you don't know what that symbol means. It just looks like scratchings on the wall.
So I just assume then that comprehend language. I don't think it should affect.
If comprehend languages allows you to understand script, I think you might be able to
Okay.
decipher the script, but you probably wouldn't be able to decipher the words because it's I don't think it's its own language. I think it's just it's a jumbled version of probably
Okay.
common. But in most terms, you probably wouldn't hear too many people saying it anyway, because they wouldn't be very good at their job if they were overheard.
All right, I'm assuming we're going to bed for the night.
Unless we want to come up with some sort of plan for tomorrow.
Maybe just listen to Erlen and do the talk and then see the lady. And I'll just follow what y'all do.
Sounds like a plan. Not a very elaborate plan, but it's still a plan.
All right. So if everybody is agreed upon the plan being, let's just wing it. um,
First day is a
it's sort-
groove.
yeah.
I mean, you can never go wrong letting the first plan.
Yep. Barbarian, just punch things, and then if that doesn't work, just punch it some more.
Well, I imagine we would do the typical, like, you know, try to block off the exits and capture the dude thing.
Well,
Right.
if you're going to the apothecary first too, it would be I would
Oh,
imagine you would just want to be like, all right, who's gonna talk, who's gonna, you know, make the introductions to everyone.
I mean, I can play bad cop.
All right. Who wants to be? Who wants to be good
okay.
cop?
So if I recall correctly, Dawn has the highest charisma, and she also probably has the would be she has the background to not say the wrong thing. So I mean, again, these are just metagaming it, I suppose, by being giving into those things, but just as sort of a thought process to keep in mind. It's just again a matter of whether Dawn would feel comfortable stepping up to do that. But
Yeah, it more depends on if she would feel like she'd want to talk to this person or not, if you know what I mean.
and I would say, based on your background, you might have heard of the Dryad before, but I would say you would personally have never had any interactions with this person, and
Oh,
so
okay.
you'd be pretty confident that they would have that the Dryad would have no idea who you are.
Okay.
Matt, real quick, when we first saw this Moira lady, what like was she sitting on the outside of like an inn or a house or anything? I remember you said she was leaning up against the wall.
It's just
I mean, cafe.
it's
Yeah.
just
Okay.
you guys were going to a cafe, and she was just standing across from the cafe.
Okay. All right. So it wasn't like okay. Then real quick, I'm gonna look around to everyone and just say, there's one other thing I may be able to do that might be of interest to the group. I can look in and see if Hugo is up to anything.
You'll be able to establish he's kind of a jilted lover.
Well, that yes, but also he had armed guards there. If he knows that we're not going to do what he wants, I'm a bit worried that he may not be happy with us.
No, I think Hugo is super nice. He wouldn't do that.
He was willing to pay 650 gold just to upset someone.
You have to also take into consideration he's probably not dumb enough to send 2 guards after 6 people.
It was just an idea.
I mean, Goliaths aren't generally known for their intelligence, but
I would imagine with a place like his, he has more than 2 guards on his payroll. That being said, I don't think it's a concern at the moment.
Yeah, if he just wants to screw with her, then we'll have to take that face value. That said, I think we should just find the halfling, or talk to the pawn shop.
And perhaps when we return the gem, we can inform her about Hugo and maybe bonus reward.
Now that might actually get us in trouble. But not to shoot you down though, Grix. He kind of reaches over, kind of pats my shoulder.
She seemed to have the money, and knowledge is very very expensive sometimes.
That is true. Besides, something about this gem bugs me. Are there many gems that look like what'd she say? A falcon's eye?
Eagle.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, eagle's eye.
It could just be one that's made to look that way. It most likely isn't natural.
Yeah, but that's fair. Maybe I'm just being paranoid.
If it makes you feel better, if there's anything magical about it, I'll be able to.
Well, that does help, yeah.
I can tell too, because I'll glow.
Great, so we can use her like I would say like a rave lighter, but that's not right. Great, so we can use her as our portable lantern. He kind of gives a pebble a ruffle in her hair. He goes, "All right, I'm going to bed." He's gonna start going to the stairs to his room.
so wait, is Pebble like a walking detect magic spell?
Yeah, basically. I think she's got 3 uses of it, but yeah, she's a walking detect magic spell.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll say after he goes, I'll say the same. I'll say, "Oh, I'm going to go to bed too. Good night." And he just kind of turns and walks away.
And I walk away.
All right.
Yeah, she glows different color depending on the school, so.
That's it.
I'll say,
it's all the schools of magic at once.
I think. Wouldn't that be like the Universalist school?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the other thing too. So with this new, with the Critical Role book that's coming out in a couple months, Dunamancy, and there's another spell class in there, and then there's a fighter subclass as well. But more than likely, I will allow that stuff. So there's also some. I think there's some new feats as well. So like for your level up, I'm getting the book if people aren't. So we'll have all that information. But
play by ear.
I'm not sure if it will be considered like a separate class or if it'll fall under like divination or what. I don't know what time.
I think it'll still be just a wizard, but it'll have like, instead of being a divination master, I'll be a dunamancy master. Like,
well, but I just don't know what the spells themselves, like if they would be considered, like if time magic would be considered a divination spell.
Oh, true.
I just don't know what school that would fall under. My guess would be divination, but who knows? We'll find out. So it's somewhat anticlimactic. We don't get to end on a cliffhanger or anything, but I said 3 to 3.5 hours, and it's been over 4 because that's just how D&D rolls.
Hey, it's the first day of the campaign.
It is.
Yeah.